Grand Theft Auto 6 is right around the freaking corner, and I am so excited for this game you guys would not believe, or maybe you would. And in this super amazing, spectacular, special edition, deluxe, premium video, whatever, I have every single video I've done covering Grand Theft Auto 6, with the exception of like a silly one or two. So if you are already a subscriber and you've watched all my videos, you've seen all of these. But if you just want to listen to a bunch of Grand Theft Auto 6 info or something like while you're going to sleep, this is the perfect video. And if you haven't seen any of my videos, oh boy, I've got this nagging feeling that Grand Theft Auto 6's trailer 3 is going to drop in November, and I've structured this video in a way that I think kind of takes us through absolutely everything we know. Sit back, relax, grab a snack, drink something, and prepare for over 3 hours of everything we know about Grand Theft Auto 6 and everything you need to know before watching trailer 3. And don't worry, I'm making plenty more Grand Theft Auto 6 videos after this. Let's start off with this first video. This is 10 insane features coming in Grand Theft Auto 6. GTA 6 is 100% confirmed for May 26th, which is great because there is a bit of a scare of another delay, and I'm incredibly thankful that that looks to be not the case now. So May 26th, it is right around the corner. Now, in this long wait that we've all been going through for GTA 6, there's been all of these speculation videos and news videos and a bunch of clickbait. And for me, that personally kind of sucks because it's like, you know, as fun as it is to watch some of that stuff, I kind of like the more grounded videos that, and maybe even just straight up speculation videos that go into potential features that a game might have when I'm looking forward to it. But the hype is just so real for GTA 6 that people can't help themselves with some pretty outlandish stuff, especially around the map. But you know what? I think the community has done a pretty dang good job coming up with an idea of what the map is really going to be. But with that said, today I'm going to bring you 10 insane things we are nearly guaranteed to see in Grand Theft Auto 6. So I'm going to start off with a bit of a weird one that I haven't seen anyone talk about, and that is tactical gameplay. So what do I mean by tactical gameplay? Well, if you look at this clip right here in the GTA 6 trailers, you'll see we're in first person here. It looks like we've got kind of a body cam thing going on. It almost feels like Ready or Not. And I'm 99% certain that Grand Theft Auto 6, there's a big thing that they have not yet revealed to us. Like, yes, we know we have two characters. We have Jason and Laura. Laura, dame la fuerza para luchar. Yes, Lucia, but I think that there's maybe even a third character or just something big that we haven't seen. And we know Rockstar likes to do that, kind of like how they dropped the 3 protagonist thing on us in Grand Theft Auto 5 shortly before release. So I'm curious, and it's looking like there's going to be a way to maybe play from the police perspective in maybe sort of like a tactical Ready or Not style way. I'm not sure how that's going to pan out or look, but I think that would be really interesting to see in Grand Theft Auto 6. We know you're going to be able to go into first person, so maybe those first person controls are going to handle much more like a tactical shooter. I think they are going all out with the features on this game, guys, so I wouldn't be surprised if we saw that in first person the game handles much better and maybe even has some of those aspects and mechanics of a tactical shooter. And first person handles better than we've ever seen it in a Rockstar title, and maybe even in most first person titles. And with the $2 billion budget, again, nothing is off the table here. I think it's safe to speculate pretty wildly at this point with the budget and hours that have gone into this game. So I know that's kind of a weird one, but this next one, we're guaranteed to see something. So we are going to see some elements involving outer space. That we know. So in Florida, there's the Kennedy Space Center, and the rockets launch from there. Sure, ground controls in Houston, but the actual rockets launch from Florida. Well, the game takes place in Leonida, Rockstar's version of Florida. So there's going to be a space program in the game. Now, I'm not sure if we're going to be like launching into space with rockets or something like that. Maybe that'll come in Grand Theft Auto Online, but based on stuff found in the code and some keywords, which I have a video covering, there is something space related in this game. And there's even some bits in the source code that point to how bodies react in unnatural environments, such as zero gravity. Now, what I really think this is you could see Jason playing video games and stuff during the trailer. I think we're going to have a Republican Space Rangers game, and then it's going to be kind of like a Halo knockoff or something. I think that that's really what that's going to be. But I could be wrong. There could be a legitimate mission to where you are in outer space. I don't know what it is, but maybe Jason takes something or Lucia takes something and we end up in some sort of altered no gravity environment. But we do know based off of the keywords found in the data that there is going to be something space related. So whatever that is, I don't know. If you have some ideas of what that is, let me know. But I think we've covered that enough. Let's move on to this next one. And this one, I'm 100% certain we're going to see. We're going to see time jumps like Red Dead Redemption 2 and map changes over time. So in Red Dead Redemption 2, you know, as time goes on, Arthur's writing in his journal, and, you know, as the campsite moves, time goes on. There's almost different seasons, even though it's kind of illustrated by the biome that you're in. As you move around the map and you're experiencing these new biomes, it's supposed to be like the seasons are changing, you know? And as you play the game, buildings will be completed. There's a group who's, you know, working on chopping down a bunch of wood and stuff like that, and you can help them out, save a guy who has a tree fall on him, you know, yada yada. But eventually they clear on out. There's places in Valentine that get built up. We're going to see buildings be built and completed over the time in Grand Theft Auto 6, and not a freaking tower that never gets completed like Grand Theft Auto 5. That drove me nuts. So yeah, I think that's really cool, because what we're going to see in this game is we're probably going to see Jason and Lucy on the run, or at least moving around for some reason. They're going to be moving, going to different locations, and that is going to allow the map to kind of change over time. And when you revisit locations later in the game, they might not be exactly the way you remember them, because time will have gone on. That's something Rockstar has been trying to do for a while, and it's really cool to see how they implement it in Red Dead Redemption 2. And that game came out in 2018, and here we are in 2025. So just be prepared for something absolutely crazy. And something else that's really cool I think we're going to see is this next thing, emergent storytelling through encounters. So what do I mean by that? Well, in Red Dead Redemption 2, when you're walking around, you'll have strangers, random people come up to you, and just all hell kind of breaks loose, or just something weird happens, and you kind of go off the beaten path. And before you know it, you haven't actually played any of the story missions. You haven't done anything story related, but you've lived in this world and you've gone on an adventure and stuff's happened. Todd Howard was really big on this with the release of Skyrim, with stuff like Radiant quests and all that. That ultimately turned into glorified fetch quests in Skyrim. Go get my ring from this cave and we'll spawn some bandits there. But Rockstar, through these random encounters, kind of pushes the player around like a ping pong ball throughout their map and their world, and you kind of get to experience your own story. I remember in Red Dead Redemption 2, I got wanted and I had no money to pay off my bounty, and it turned into a multi-day long manhunt and having to find treasure in a cave to then pay off my bounty. That is an example of emergent storytelling, when unpredictable things happen to you and you have to deal with it, and you kind of have your own little personal story. So based off technology and the money and the resources and everything going into this game, and what we saw in Red Dead Redemption 2, and it being almost 10 years after Red Dead Redemption 2 that this game is going to come out, I really think we're going to see some absolutely insane stuff pop up that's going to take us off the beaten path for hours and hours and hours. And it takes place in Florida, Leonida. Get ready for the Leonida Man, Florida Man, stranger missions, random encounters. It's going to be nuts. And I'm pretty sure that's what we're seeing here in these trailers with these random Florida people, is some of those events. And speaking of story, this next thing I think we'll see are decisions that shape the story. So Grand Theft Auto 4 kind of had some cool moments to where you could decide the fate of a few characters. Now, it didn't really change the story, except for one big decision at the very end of the game that decided who lived and who died. I think in Grand Theft Auto 6, we're going to see a lot more of these kinds of choices that maybe ultimately end up changing the plot by the end of it. It's possible that we're going to have decisions we make early on in the game that impact the very end of the game. Kind of like Mass Effect, if you've ever played it. And that might result in one of our two leads that we've seen either live or die. So be prepared for that, because while Rockstar has always been kind of limited on how they handle this or what they do, like in Red Dead Redemption, you could go high honor Arthur or low honor Arthur. This game is very much going to be its own thing, with two characters on the run, with things changing over time. So it's almost guaranteed that we're going to see some form of this. Something else, moving on to our next feature, something else that we are guaranteed to pretty much see that we saw in Red Dead Redemption 2 is a weight mechanic. So in Red Dead Redemption 2, Arthur can eat a bunch of food and gain a bunch of weight. It's hard to do. I mean, you really have to focus on having him gain weight, but he can gain a bunch of weight or he can get really skinny. Based on the little bit we've seen and based on what players miss from San Andreas, I am almost 100% certain that we are going to see a weight mechanic for Jason. He looks like he's heavier and then skinnier in some different shots of the trailers, and there appears to be a weightlifting mechanic. So I think that is coming back. I think we're going to be able to have skinny, bony Jason, super shredded Jason. I'm pretty sure he's going to be able to get chubby, all that stuff. And I think Lucy is going to have those same mechanics. So, which will be very interesting, since she will be the first woman protagonist in a Grand Theft Auto game. It'll be interesting to see how that works. Maybe there will be like fitness classes or something that she likes to do that Jason doesn't. We do know that she likes to box. That'll be something in the game that we'll be doing as Lucia. Boxing, maybe doing these boxing matches, going to a gym, which even opens up the possibility of learning different fighting styles. Or at the very least, Jason having some sort of military style, fighting style, and Lucia having a boxing fighting style. Next is pretty obvious to everyone, but supernatural elements. I mean, come on, it's a Rockstar game. If you played Red Dead Redemption 2, you know how it is. I mean, you've got UFOs, you've got ghost trains, you got vampires, you got the serial killer house. In Red Dead Redemption 1, you got the strange man, and there's other stuff in that one too. And Grand Theft Auto San Andreas, we had the ghost car, and then there was the whole Bigfoot thing, and Grand Theft Auto 5 had some grand conspiracy thing on Mount Chiliad that ultimately led to nothing, or at least no one has cracked the code of what it is yet. Personally, I think it was DLC that they were intending to add into the single player game, but they ultimately dropped it to support online. So what whatever that thing was, no one's figured it out. It hasn't happened. But we're in Florida, Leonida. We're going to see some crazy, witchy maybe stuff out in the boonies. So be prepared to see some really creepy stuff and be excited. Rockstar's always been really good about making their worlds big and creepy and mysterious. So I'm really excited to see what they do. I mean, they've done the pretty obvious one, like aliens and ghosts and all that. They're going to probably do something pretty damn creepy though. So just be prepared for that. Moving on to this next one. This one is the one I'm the least certain about on this list, but I think it's very likely we're going to finally see this because people have been asking Rockstar to do this for freaking ever. And that is a fuel system. So it's looking like you're going to be able to pull up to a convenience store, top off your gas tank, whatever. And I think this might be a toggleable option that you're able to turn off and on, similar to how Mafia allows you to turn on simulation driving and turn it off. I think we're going to see something like that with maybe a fuel system. At the very least, I think we're going to see something like a fuel system that is baked into the game and maybe you can't turn it off or on, but it's not really a nuisance because the fuel lasts forever. But it just gives you the opportunity to pull over and get gas every now and again. And with that, I think you're also going to be able to go into the convenience store. Imagine pulling over, you're getting gas. You can go into the convenience store, very similar to how it works in Red Dead Redemption 2, where you can go in and pick up the items and purchase them. You can go into the convenience store and do that as well. So maybe we'll see Jason doing a beer run late at night and some sort of stranger mission happens and chaos ensues. And before you know it, you've played for many hours and haven't done a single story mission. That's the kind of stuff I'm pretty certain we're going to see in this game. You're going to get sucked in and wrapped up in the world that they've created, and a bunch of crazy nonsense is going to happen. For this next one, I think you're going to be able to play this entire game as one character and one character only. So yeah, we know we're going to be able to play as Lucia. I'm pretty certain you're going to be able to play every single mission as Jason and every single mission, if you want, as Lucia, and probably go back and forth between the two whenever you want, or maybe even choose at the very start which one you're going to play. Because it's looking like at the very end, there's going to be some sort of betrayal decision. One of them rats on each other, one of them dies. And I think the best way that you could possibly do that is having the character lock one of the other players, but allowing them to still see the perspective of the other. So it'll probably shape up to be, you could play the entire game as Jason if you want, or you could play the entire game as Lucia if you want, or you can ping pong back and forth between the two, which will be incredibly cool because one of the biggest weaknesses of Grand Theft Auto 5 was forcing you to switch between 3 different characters, and it didn't really give you the time to be in their shoes long enough to really get to know these people. And maybe there's a character you didn't like and you were stuck playing as them and you hated it. Well, I think they've learned from their mistakes. I don't think we're going to see that. Next is multiple cities. So I don't know why people seem so like, oh my gosh, is there going to be multiple cities? Is there not? Of course there is. It's Grand Theft Auto 6. We're going to have Vice City. We're going to have a bunch of other stuff. We're going to have small towns. As far as a full-blown city, I'm not quite sure about that, but I think we are going to have a smaller city. I think Vice City for sure is going to be massive, absolutely huge. And then the other cities will be, maybe half the size, maybe a quarter the size, but still another city to go and explore. There will be airports and you'll be able to fly to these different cities. A lot of this game is going to be a road trip, I think, to where you're moving around the map, very similar to Red Dead Redemption 2. And I think that's when Rockstar is at its strongest, because that's how they did it for San Andreas as well. It made the map feel freaking huge. You're constantly being pushed around it. And the big weakness with Grand Theft Auto 5 is, as big as the map is, people say it feels empty. And the reason they say it's empty is because, well, a lot of it's wilderness and nothing. No, I hard disagree. Grand Theft Auto 5 had a giant map that was totally capable of delivering that same experience. The reason it didn't is you're just ping-ponging around everywhere. You're all over the place. The story didn't stay contained to one location and move to another and move to another and move to another. There's a city at the very top left corner of Grand Theft Auto 5's map, and you'll never go there. Maybe you go there for one mission and that's about it. But something it should have done that San Andreas did is have you go and stay in that location for, a set amount of time. You're doing some missions around there and then you move on. Grand Theft Auto 4 did the same thing. So that's why 5 felt so small and didn't feel very immersive. You're all over the place. Rockstar is at its best when part of the map's locked off and it opens up to you and you move there. That's what creates the adventure, the journey. You are moving locations physically, and then you are there for a while before you progress to the next. And not only were you going to see that with how the map opens up to you in this game, but we are also going to see that with how time jumps. So, you move to a new location and new things are happening. You're in this location, you're doing missions, you move to the next, you move to the next. And by the time you go back and revisit the old one, well, time's changed and new buildings have been built, new things are going on, which will be really cool. It'll be kind of similar to like at the very end of San Andreas, where you go back to Los Santos. All right, I know this is a top 10 list, but I went on ahead and did an 11th. It's just 11's not as sexy as a number as 10, but let's just state the obvious. We're going to have hurricanes in this game. They're coming. So be prepared for that. It's going to be really cool. Hurricanes are something I've always wanted to see in the original Vice City, and I'm super excited to see it. We're going to have weather events. Now, whether it's a part of the world itself or if it's narratively tied, I'm not sure. I do think it is going to be both. I think we're going to have some big hurricane event in the story, that's happening during the action and all that kind of stuff. So something really cool like that. But I do think we are also going to see hurricanes come and go, or at least very violent tropical storms as the game goes on. So be prepared for some crazy weather elements, because we are definitely going to see them in this game. And I cannot wait to get on a boat, go out in the middle of the ocean in a hurricane, and just let all hell break loose. This game is going to allow for so many cool things that you've never been able to do in a previous Rockstar game, Grand Theft Auto game, Red Dead Redemption. So just be ready to do some absolute crazy nonsense. Now let's move on to 20 features Grand Theft Auto 6 will refine. Grand Theft Auto 6 is going to have all sorts of features, all sorts of crazy features from previous Rockstar games. And today in this video, I'm going to talk about those features and what we can expect from the older Rockstar games titles in Grand Theft Auto 6. So this video is kind of inspired by a previous video I did about 10 features that you could expect to see in Grand Theft Auto 6. If you haven't watched that yet, now's your chance, or you could watch it after this one, whatever. But anyways, let's get into it, guys. This video is based off like leaks, insider reports, trailer analysis, and even community research. And hey, everyone is an internet sleuth when it comes to Grand Theft Auto 6. This is based off all of that combined together. So let's get into some of this stuff and start off with the first one, which is the most obvious, and that is a massive vehicle roster. So in Grand Theft Auto 6, you're going to see more vehicles than you've ever seen in any other Grand Theft Auto game, and maybe even all of them combined. I'm talking like sedans, sports cars, jet skis, fishing boats, river boats, all sorts of boats, yachts, realistic traffic density as well across regions. In Grand Theft Auto 4, for example, the traffic was kind of pretty much the same everywhere you would go. And I think even in Grand Theft Auto 5, it was like that. But this time, in this game, in Grand Theft Auto 6, depending on where you're at, there's going to be different traffic density. So if you go out in the sticks, expect nothing. If you go in cities, it's going to be crowded. And I mean, if you go play San Andreas, yeah, you'll see different vehicles out there in the sticks, but you know, you'll see relatively the same traffic density that you would see inside the city. So this time, expect there to be kind of a really immersive and realistic amount of traffic density depending on where you're going. Urban areas are going to be dense and crowded. Rural areas are going to be sparse. All right, so this next thing, expect a crap ton of vehicle customization, obviously, right? I feel like that's really all I need to say about that, but there's going to be a ton of vehicle customization in this game. Really, that could be an entire video of its own. Maybe I'll save that for later, and we'll go ahead and move on to this next thing, which is evolving police and wanted system. So law enforcement is now going to kind of like hunt you. So they're going to be smarter, more intelligent. They're not going to pursue you the way that they kind of mindlessly did in older titles like Zombies. They're going to recognize repeat offenders. There's going to be witness descriptions. So in Grand Theft Auto 4 and 5, people had to call the police on you and they would pop up, but now you're going to have witnesses like Red Dead Redemption 2. And not only that, but there's going to be witness descriptions. So you're going to have to change how you look. There's going to be security cameras even, maybe facial recognition. So there's also going to be disguises. And this will really give you a reason to change how your character looks other than just doing it to do it. You're also going to be able to surrender like you can in Red Dead Redemption 2. And there's going to be an authentic police response time. So in Grand Theft Auto 5, if you step out of line just a little bit, all of Los Santos Police Department is on you. And that might have kind of been them spoofing on LAPD a little bit. And if so, they did an excellent job because it was very annoying. But this time you can expect realistic police response times, maybe even fewer police after you at a given time until you get up in those later stars. But expect the police that do come after you to be more well-equipped, scarier, and very capable of taking you down. Moving on to this next one, we're going to have dynamic stores and malls. So you're going to see stores pop up and disappear as time goes on. There's going to be a bunch of different interiors. You know, that's something I loved about Grand Theft Auto 4 was all the interiors. They didn't have too many, but they had a lot. And then 5, I feel like they kind of took a step backwards. Like I couldn't go into Perkashot and stuff like that. And I know that sounds small. Grand Theft Auto 5 did have a lot of interiors, but I don't think it had nearly as many as Grand Theft Auto 4. Let me know if I'm wrong about that. But there's also going to be stuff like functional malls with maybe stores that come and go as time goes on. But that kind of ties into something that I'm going to mention here in a little bit. But expect there to be a bunch of cool stores that are very dense and a lot of places to go into, very similar to Cyberpunk. So a lot of people over the years have always been like, man, when are we going to get to go into every single building and every single room? Well, let me tell you right now, you don't want to. That's incredibly boring. You want quality, not quantity. I think Grand Theft Auto 6 is going to deliver both quality and quantity with so many different stores and places to enter that are also going to be rich in detail while not allowing you to go everywhere. Next, we're going to have a weapon inventory overhaul. So in the alpha footage of this game, I was actually watching it recently, and I'm not going to share it here for obvious reasons, but imagine a circle, a weapon wheel, very similar to Red Dead Redemption 2 or Grand Theft Auto 5. At the top half of that circle, you're going to have 5 slots, and at the bottom of the circle, you're going to have 1. That 1 on the bottom, I presume, is like your inventory for small little objects, stuff like that. The top is going to allow you to choose a melee weapon, a sidearm, possibly 2 primaries, and a throwable weapon. And whatever weapons you're not using, you'll be able to store in your car and your trunk and swap out as time goes on, or maybe keep in your apartment, and you can only keep a certain amount in your car. I'm really excited to see what they do. They're going to make your car kind of your central hub, kind of like your horses in Red Dead Redemption 2. So I'm very excited to see how they do that. Moving on now, we're going to have a dual protagonist system. So that's very obvious, duh, right? But the reason I bring this up is because in Grand Theft Auto 5, one of the main criticisms people have with it is when you have those 3 protagonists, their different motivations and stuff can kind of start to feel lost on you, or you might not feel the connection with those characters that you do in, say, a previous Grand Theft Auto game. Well, this time, Jason and Lucia are a couple. They're together. So that is going to be an interesting way of experiencing 2 protagonists. We're going to get to learn about them through each other's eyes and in their own shoes. And I think that that is an excellent way of having multiple protagonist is having them in a relationship because, you know, they love each other. So you're going to get to learn a lot about the two together. And I think that is quite a refinement from Grand Theft Auto 5. Now, look, there could still be a third protagonist. There is kind of a mystery about who that could potentially be and if they're in the trailers already and we don't know about it. But also expect something like Grand Theft Auto 5's character switching to where you could switch to another character and they would end up doing something crazy or wacky. You know, I talk a lot of smack about Grand Theft Auto 5 on this channel, but that is something I absolutely loved about Grand Theft Auto 5 was all the different wacky stuff they would do when you would switch to them. So expect that in this game and to be fleshed out a bit more. Next, we have a chapter-based story structure, very much like Red Dead Redemption 2, where we have chapters. So expect like 5, 6, 7 chapters. Each one is going to feel a bit different, maybe even kind of echoing a different season, kind of like Red Dead Redemption 2. Every new place you went to was like a new season as well as a new location. So expect that progression to, you know, something that's big in Grand Theft Auto games that gives you the sense of really going on an adventure is going to a new place, staying there for a while, and then moving on to the next. Grand Theft Auto 5, they didn't do that, and that made the map feel really small, even though it was huge. So expect to see that return in this game. And not only that, but let's go ahead and get into this next mechanic. Other than just having chapters, you're also going to have buildings that are built and maybe even torn down over time. So long gone are the days of Grand Theft Auto 5's skyscraper never getting built, even though it's been 12 years now. Expect it to be like Red Dead Redemption 2, where you have buildings being built over time and they have maybe 4 or 5 different states that they're in over time until you finally see them finished based on a certain point of the story that you're in. So that will be tied to chapters, which is why I bring this up after the chapter-based story structure. But expect there to be different buildings that you're going to see brought up and maybe even torn down over time. And stuff like stores opening and closing during your time. Little shops and malls being there and being gone over time. It's going to be cool. Next, based off everything I've seen, we're going to have a Deadeye mechanic. Jason, expect him to have like a Deadeye mechanic and Lucia to have something else. Or maybe flip. One will probably be good at driving, one at shooting, yada yada, Starsky and Hutch style stuff. But you can for sure pretty much 100% expect there to be Deadeye / bullet time like in Max Payne. Next, expect a relationship meter. So if you watched my previous video, you know that Rockstar loves betrayal, and I think a relationship meter is the perfect way to incorporate that into this game. What do I mean by that? Well, in Red Dead Redemption 2, we had the honor meter, so player choices would directly affect that honor meter. You'd go low honor, high honor, all that kind of stuff, you get it, and it would shape the ending you got. Well, in this game, expect player choices to affect your relationship meter between Jason and Lucia. So by the end of the game, based on your choices, you may either end up needing to betray one another, so one character lives, one character dies, so that's 2 possible endings already. That or they both go out together, or they both live. So that's 4 possible endings that could happen based off of this relationship meter. So that's a really cool idea, and I'm looking forward to seeing how they implement that. Moving on to this next feature, this is something that every Rockstar game feels naked without, and that is a greet and antagonize system, and even a diffuse system. So that's also in Red Dead Redemption 2. Greet, antagonize, and diffuse. I cannot wait to go up to NPCs and just mess with them. There's nothing like going around holding down left trigger or L2 and just antagonizing NPCs or saying thank you or being like, hey bud, how's your day going? You know, it's really fun and really cool. And I can't wait to see how they do that in Grand Theft Auto 6. You can pretty much guarantee it's going to be in there. If they were to just copy and paste Red Dead Redemption 2's greet and antagonize system, I would absolutely love it. Maybe with some more options on like dialogue, but let's see how they expand upon it. I'm very excited about that. Next on this list, based off the leaks and stuff, you can expect more gore and dismemberment. This one I'm a little bit more iffy on because I know in Grand Theft Auto games, they do try and dial back the violence compared to stuff like Red Dead Redemption, just based on the stuff that's going on out there in the world and unwanted media attention. I mean, you got to remember, as much as Rockstar Games acts like a Rockstar, they're also the biggest video game company when it comes to how much money they put into their games and how much they make on their investments. So, you know, I think though that we're adults and we can handle it. So I'm hoping this one is true because frankly, I think that when you shoot someone, you should see the consequences of what that looks like in a game. And that might even kind of talk some people out of doing the sick stuff that they do in the world. I don't know. I'm getting a little off my rocker here, but I think that having those elements in the game, even if it is sickening to some extent, it is good to see that your actions do indeed have consequences. Even if you're, you know, shooting in like defense or something like that in a video game, it gives weight to that decision. So that's all I'll say about that. Let's move on. Next, you can expect wildlife and hunting, very similar to Red Dead Redemption 2. Grand Theft Auto 5, it was kind of lacking, but look, they went really big in Grand Theft Auto 5, and so I can kind of forgive them on that. But if they were to copy and paste Red Dead Redemption 2's hunting system and wildlife system, I would be totally happy with that. But you can expect stuff like predators and unique details like wet animal fur like in Red Dead Redemption 2. The possibilities are kind of endless with Florida or Leonida. There's even talks of underwater fishing. Personally, I want to wrestle an alligator. So we'll see how that goes. Next is jumping between vehicles. So this is kind of like jumping between a horse to a horse, or horse to wagon, or wagon to horse, or yada yada, like you do in Red Dead Redemption 2. You can kind of see something like this in the trailers. Expect to be able to jump from a car to another car, or a bike to a car, and, you know, being able to jump to other vehicles from a vehicle while driving, which is really cool. And I'm really looking forward to colliding with a pole mid-jump with the physics system. That's going to be really fun. Next, this is something we all love, random encounters. So Red Dead Redemption 2 has so many freaking random encounters. I must have put 500, 600, 700 hours into that game, and I still have not seen every random encounter. I feel like there's a random encounter someone out there in the world has seen that the rest of us haven't. And that's incredible because it truly makes those encounters feel special and randomized. Now, sure, there's some that we all see, like the guy throwing rocks across the water. We see him grown up and Arthur gives him some relationship advice, but expect there to be so many random encounters in this game, more than we've ever seen before. All sorts of stuff, and creepy stuff too. I'm really excited for this. The possibilities with the Florida Man stuff is just absolutely endless. Moving on, expect refined gunplay. So like slower, weightier third-person aiming and shooting, heavily influenced by maybe Max Payne a little bit, mixed with Red Dead Redemption 2, maybe even as snappy as Grand Theft Auto 5. So the weight of Red Dead Redemption 2, the impact of Red Dead Redemption 2, but the snappy responsiveness of Grand Theft Auto 5. Expect those things. I think the gunplay is going to be the best it has ever been in Grand Theft Auto 6, especially with how the police and everything are going to interact with you. I feel like if we're going to ever see tactical elements, this is going to be the time. So get excited about that. Next, expect interactive objects and environments. So being able to trigger interactions with small little trinkets and things and weird wacky doodads in the environment, or, you know, being able to pick up bricks and stuff like that and maybe throw them through a window like Grand Theft Auto 4. Just be prepared to reach out and touch your environment. Very similar to how in Red Dead Redemption 2 you can go in a store and pick up a can of beans and buy it. Well, now you can do that in Grand Theft Auto 6. So if you go to the convenience store and buy a pack of smokes, you can buy the pack of smokes, hold it in your hands, walk out the store with it, or you can go buy a 6-pack of beer and walk out the store with it, which will be really cool if they do implement the feature I mentioned in that previous video, which is a fuel system, which we haven't seen in a previous one, so not talking about that in this one. But let's go ahead and move on to something very much like a fuel system, and that's just mundane immersive activities in general. So expect all sorts of stuff, like a workout routine maybe, like CJ did in San Andreas, you know, to stay in shape. I think we're going to see skinny, fat, in shape, all sorts of that kind of stuff. Lucia, you know, it'll be funny to see if there's a playthrough where someone lets Jason and Lucia just absolutely let themselves go, and you know, it could happen. So who knows? It would be really funny. Or maybe they're just both like super freaking skinny. I don't know. It's going to be fun. People are going to have all sorts of fun with that, with the weight system in this game. But also something I thought was kind of interesting was Red Dead Redemption 2, they had the farm tasks and stuff like that, which kind of more tied into 1899 style living. But I did see Jason fixing his roof after what I think is either a tropical storm or a hurricane or something like that. So I'm almost curious if there's going to be kind of like a building maintenance thing in this game based off of what's going on with the weather. I'm a little curious to see what they do with that. And next, expect a bunch of stealth and psychological tension. Maybe nothing as crazy as Manhunt as far as the psychological tension goes, but as far as the stealth, you know, one of you guys left a comment on a previous video talking about how they need to bring going prone into this game, and I agree with you completely. If there's a Grand Theft Auto to do it, this is that Grand Theft Auto, especially because you know out there in the world there's a Florida doomsday prepper guy who's got a ghillie suit. So let us get our hands on a ghillie suit and a sniper rifle and go prone out there in the middle of the woods, and let us give orders to Lucia or Jason if you're playing as Lucia, and kind of have a tactical approach to every single mission we do, where we're maybe even issuing commands and having like Lucia do crowd control while Jason robs the place, you know, all sorts of stuff. Expect really cool features like that, and maybe even stuff like Metal Gear Solid 5, how you can approach each and every little mission or operation that you choose to do. Expect that in this, because Grand Theft Auto has always been about giving you a buttload of tools to accomplish your objective or your mission, and sometimes it's a little too on the rails, but I think in Grand Theft Auto 6 we're going to see some really interesting ways, more sandboxy ways of approaching things, which I know is kind of its own other thing, but I don't know, stealth kind of sent me down the rabbit hole and got me talking about that. You could see how just having a couple of systems like that together, they start to play off each other and really create something unique and special. So expect that, because this is, again, the most expensive game ever created, and it's been in development for 100 years. So it's going to be absolutely incredible, guys, when this game comes out. All right, so we've covered a bunch of features now, but how about that AI? So Grand Theft Auto 6 is set to revolutionize open world gaming with the most advanced NPC artificial intelligence system ever implemented in a video game. Rockstar Games has been quietly developing groundbreaking artificial intelligence technology that will fundamentally transform how non-playable characters behave, interact, and exist within the game world of Leonida. Unlike traditional NPCs that follow like predetermined scripts and predictable patterns, Grand Theft Auto 6's characters will possess dynamic intelligence systems powered by advanced advanced AI algorithms that enable real-time decision-making, adaptive behaviors, and persistent memory systems. Now, I know that sounds like a bunch of technical jargon, but just stick with me here because this stuff's really exciting. Basically, what you really need to know is that means we're going from static, run-of-the-mill, non-responsive, repetitive NPCs to something that is truly lifelike. We're talking digital citizens here. So Take-Two Interactive has filed multiple patents that reveal the sophisticated AI systems powering GTA 6's NPCs. The most significant patent is patent, and I'm sorry, this is a mouthful, US 11684855B2. It's like a cheat code. Titled System and Method for Virtual Navigation in a Gaming Environment. So this introduces hierarchical coarse graph navigation and real-time decision-making neural networks. This patented system replaces simple pathfinding with a dual-layer approach that processes navigation at two distinct levels. So NPCs can now make contextual driving decisions based on environmental data, including traffic density, weather conditions, road types, vehicle characteristics, personality traits, and even urgency levels. So let's say you have an NPC. Let's call him Tom, and Tom works a 9 to 5. Well, used to, Tom would just drive however that NPC was defined to drive. Well, now let's put him in a working man pool, and maybe his marriage is on the rocks, so he's programmed with a few variables, and maybe his marriage is on the rocks because he got caught playing poker with the Christmas money again. So anyways, Tom's in a big hurry to get home to get Timmy to soccer practice. Now, something like this could be added as like a soft passive that acts on Tom's urgency levels. So let's say Tom is at a 20% urgency to get home already. Just Tom, and a few other NPCs will put him at 20% as well. Whatever connects through this tree of this kind of story. Well, now if Tom runs into, let's say, a traffic backup, he's going to be more likely to do something illegal to get around it or just to act like a douchebag on the road than, say, another NPC. Or maybe you have an NPC who is partaking in the devil's lettuce while driving around. They might drive the speed limit, which is very strange, especially here in Texas, or lower than the speed limit, and it's based solely on that. Now, it's a little bit more complicated than that, but these are the kinds of different things you're going to be seeing on the road. It's always been interesting traveling on Grand Theft Auto's roads, but expect to see some really out there stuff, just like when you're driving in real life. And that's because rather than following fixed waypoints, NPCs are going to exhibit spatial and contextual thinking, choosing safer exits during emergencies, for example, or detours during traffic incidents. And in Tom's case, maybe he's going to hop a median and then get T-boned by an oncoming truck. Oh man, this is getting morbid. Anyways, let's move on. So let's talk a bit about an advanced procedural animation system. This is really exciting. So Rockstar has developed a revolutionary procedural motion system that breaks character movement into modular, reusable building blocks that can be dynamically reassembled in real time. That is freaking cool. So basically, instead of like having an NPC and being like, you will do this if this, that's how that would normally happen. Now you're like, okay, you will do one of these few things if this, and that. And it's up to you to decide when you would do one of those things. Oh, you chose that. Well, now you will do this next thing based on not only choosing that, but these several other things as well. Oh, you did that thing? Well, now here's another list of things that you could possibly do based off the previous decision that this NPC has made and external factors. So you can imagine how complicated it gets. So under patent, forgive me guys, US 11620781, it outlines this system and method for virtual character locomotion, which uses data-driven animation blending instead of massive preset animation libraries, like we just talked about. This means NPCs no longer play static animations, but adapt their movements based on context. And that's very important to making a game immersive. Context. A character walking in the rain while injured and carrying groceries will have their animation dynamically generated from individual motion components, like a limp animation plus a weather reaction plus object carrying equals unique, believable behavior. Now you can get a bunch of these different variables, sprinkle them in with a bunch of different NPCs, and you can just imagine how colorful the world will look around you, not in actual color, but in the movement of the NPCs around you, especially with these new muscle systems, but that's another story. The system can modify animations based on character state, weather conditions, fatigue levels, and environmental factors. So if you're like me and you went and bumped into NPCs in Grand Theft Auto 4 as soon as the game came out to play with the Euphoria physics, or if you just do that in any Rockstar title with Euphoria physics, if that's one of the first things you start playing with, then you're going to love this, because not only are the physics going to be top notch in this game, but now you're going to be able to see how they react, and it's going to be very interesting. And I know a lot of people have fun with this in Red Dead Redemption 2. Now you're really going to be able to throw a wrench in an NPC's day, which is kind of cool because in a way, instead of everyone going on massive killing sprees, maybe we'll just all be going around mildly inconveniencing NPCs and seeing how they react. Now let's talk about memory systems and persistent relationships. This is freaking awesome. One of the most groundbreaking features is the persistent memory system that allows NPCs to remember player actions and modify their behavior accordingly. If you frequently cause chaos in a specific neighborhood, for example, residents will begin to recognize and avoid you, or even become hostile based on past interactions. This memory system extends beyond simple reputation tracking, so NPCs can remember specific encounters, develop grudges, and even seek revenge on you. This system creates a living ecosystem where your actions have lasting consequences that persist throughout the game world. Can you imagine what that's going to look like? You know, you go into a neighborhood, you bump into a guy, and maybe you're doing it to test out the game like we just talked about, but you keep coming back and you bump into that guy and only that guy. Well, eventually that guy might have a baseball bat ready for you. I'm just saying, don't bully NPCs in this game, man. They're not going to put up with it. And while that is absolutely mind-blowing, these NPCs are also going to have a dynamic daily routine and schedule system like we haven't quite seen before. You see, Grand Theft Auto 6's NPCs will follow complex daily routines that go far beyond the simple patterns seen in previous games like Red Dead Redemption 2. So yes, NPCs are going to still have jobs, but now they're going to have relationships and personal schedules that change based on the day of the week, time of day, and current events. Beach areas will be crowded on weekends, but relatively empty during weekdays, with the same NPCs appearing in different attire, swimwear on Saturday, for example, business clothes on Monday. Traffic patterns are going to shift, like with rush hour traffic, there's going to be heavier congestion during the morning and evening commutes, and this is going to create an authentic sense of living in a city with a realistic population. Something else that's really cool that I'm really happy to see them bringing back is weather responsive behavior. Now, it is going to be more advanced in this, but in Grand Theft Auto 4, if it started to rain, you would see NPCs put on raincoats if they were the police, or, just if they're walking around your standard NPCs, they might have an umbrella out, or they might put a newspaper over their head and run to avoid the rain. Well, now the advanced AI system includes sophisticated environmental awareness, particularly regarding the dynamic weather system. So NPCs will seek shelter during rainstorms, dress appropriately for weather conditions, and modify their activities based on temperature and atmospheric conditions. So during hot weather, NPCs might move more sluggishly, wear lighter clothing, and spend more time in shaded areas or air-conditioned buildings. When storms approach, they'll rush indoors, pull out umbrellas, or cancel outdoor activities. This level of environmental responsiveness has never been achieved in open-world gaming. And it's interesting too, because you'll be playing the game, you'll be like, why does this feel so immersive? And it's things like this, things you can't quite put your finger on, but it's literally because the NPCs around you are making the decisions that the people in the world in real life around you make every day. So I don't know if you hated the witness system in Red Dead Redemption 2, but even if you did, now it's going to get a total overhaul because we have real-time crime reporting and witness systems. Perhaps the most game-changing feature is going to be this real-time crime reporting system where NPCs call 911 to report witness crimes. I mean, they did do that in Grand Theft Auto 4, but this is going to move beyond scripted police responses to dynamic law enforcement based on actual eyewitness accounts, like Red Dead Redemption 2, Grand Theft Auto 4, but NPCs will react differently to crimes based on their personality and situation. So now, if you accidentally kick a horse in the shin, or if you just bumped into an NPC, you're not going to get the cops called on you or the lawman called on you. It's going to be dependent on the NPC's personality and the situation you're in. Like in older titles, some will flee, others will record incidents with their phones. I think we saw a little bit of that in Grand Theft Auto 5, and a few might even attempt to intervene. But what makes this more advanced than previous titles is it will be heavily influenced by the context of what you're doing. So these interactions, while they were immersive and cool in previous titles, they're going to feel more realistic now. The police response will vary also based on the severity of the witness crimes and the quality of witness descriptions, which is pretty freaking awesome. So if you go over and slap someone, you're not going to have the entire police force show up and immediately gun you down like they do in Grand Theft Auto 5. It might be a little similar to Grand Theft Auto 4, where you have one cop get out of the car and be like, hey, what are you doing, man? And the witness description bit also plays into this new disguise system, but that is covered in a previous video. The police are going to have a working memory of who you are, so you're going to have to change how you look, or maybe just get out of there. The whole idea of witness descriptions and everything is going to give you a reason to keep a low profile, and also completely change the way you approach doing what you're doing. It's really freaking cool, because now you're not going to be able to go somewhere, gun down a bunch of people, and, walk around a corner and someone be like, oh, hey, how's it going? You're going to have to really think ahead before you do things, like in real life. Speaking of police, let's talk about advanced police AI and tactical responses. So the law enforcement AI represents a massive upgrade from previous Grand Theft Auto games. Police NPCs will use advanced tactics and coordination based on threat assessment, available units, and surveillance data. Instead of the omniscient tracking of Grand Theft Auto 5, which I absolutely hated, police will conduct realistic searches, losing track of players who break line of sight or change appearance. appearance. This new system includes dispatch timers that give players time to plan before police arrive. And officers will attempt negotiation before resorting to violence. And that's kind of similar to how it worked in Grand Theft Auto 4. A little bit. I mean, Grand Theft Auto 4's was much simpler than that, but it'll be nice to see that again, is what I'm getting at. Police can identify suspects based on vehicle descriptions and witness accounts rather than supernatural awareness. But, we were talking about NPCs whipping out their phones, and social media is going to play a big part of this game. So it's looking like NPCs will record player actions and potentially share them on in-game social media platforms. So causing public incidents could lead to viral videos that affect how NPCs throughout the city recognize and react to you. So some of the stuff you're seeing in the trailers could just be straight up gameplay that has been captured by an NPC and posted on social media. So if you go on a huge killing spree, you might have like a live leak style video pop up in the game. This creates a dynamic reputation system where your notoriety spreads organically through social networks. So some NPCs may act as influencers with substantial followings, and interactions with these characters could trigger city-wide reactions or unlock exclusive content. Your actions could become trending topics that influence NPC behavior across the entire game world. And maybe you'll have to pay certain influencers a visit if they're posting a little too much about you. So we talked a little bit about how NPCs are going to navigate traffic, but how about how they walk around the world? There's now going to be enhanced pathfinding and spatial intelligence. So this is an AI system that features revolutionary pathfinding that allows NPCs to navigate complex environments with human-like intelligence. Instead of getting stuck on obstacles or following rigid paths, NPCs can now problem-solve navigation challenges in real time. So you're not going to catch some dude staring at you going, "Hey, how's it going?" and bumping into a wall over and over again, which, while it's funny, is not immersive. NPCs will exhibit different movement behaviors based on their roles and personalities. Police officers, for example, will move differently than gang members, and they'll hold themselves differently. How they walk around, their posture will be different. Tourists will behave distinctly from locals, and each character type will have appropriate spatial awareness and decision-making patterns. Now, something people have been talking about since Grand Theft Auto 3, when the world was 3D and we were able to go into certain interiors, has been, hey man, one day I want to go into all the buildings. Well, guess what? We're going to get pretty dang close, it looks like, because there is procedural interior generation in Grand Theft Auto 6. Well, that's what the patent says anyway. So Take-Two's patent for procedural interior generation allows the creation of unique indoor spaces using AI-driven asset placement. So instead of manually crafting every interior, the system uses tags and style parameters to generate diverse living spaces automatically. So you could see how great this would be for stuff like office buildings. High-end apartments will feature expensive, clean decor, while rundown homes will have cheap or broken items. This technology enables far more iterable buildings without the massive development overhead of handcrafted interiors. This kind of reminds me of the projects buildings in Grand Theft Auto 4. They all kind of looked the same, but they still had to be handcrafted. Well, buildings like that don't need to be handcrafted. Buildings like that can literally just fall within a certain set of parameters and they'll get the job done, allowing for you to go into more interiors. And really, guys, I think this is cool because it doesn't really matter if a dev works on it and actually physically puts a bed somewhere. It doesn't matter. This will be good for buildings that follow a repetitive nature, because nothing is more annoying when you're running away from police and you can't open a door to a building to get away from them. But not only are we going to have all of those improvements, we're also going to have engine improvements. So let's talk about these Rage 9 engine improvements. Grand Theft Auto 6 runs on Rage 9, the latest iteration of Rockstar's advanced game engine, which features significant improvements to AI processing, physics simulation, and character intelligence. The engine supports more sophisticated NPC behaviors, improved animation systems, and enhanced environmental interactions. The graphics gap between Red Dead Redemption 2 and GTA 6 will be substantial, driven not just by visual fidelity, but by the intelligence and realism of character behaviors. Like I said, the world's not going to be more colorful just because of the actual colors, but because of how people react and act in the world. Rage 9 enables thousands of NPCs to operate with individual AI systems simultaneously without performance degradation. And I think that is what is taking Grand Theft Auto 6 so long. That's my big crackpot conspiracy. You see, all of this processing that the game has to do would be heavy on, guess what? Your processor and your computer and stuff like that. And frankly, this level of processing power is just unheard of, especially in a Grand Theft Auto game. This kind of processing power is something you would see in like a city building game with all of the people walking around, or like some overhead war game, just any game where there's a bunch of NPCs out and about doing things. But this kind of takes it to a whole new level. It's kind of a shame that a lot of this is patented, because games in general could improve significantly with this type of technology. But maybe it'll be licensed out, because basically it allows for very complex decision making without performance degradation. And this is not related to this, but I'd love to see that in games like Total War, for example. Let's talk about Euphoria physics integration. I love Euphoria physics. Oh my god, I love Euphoria physics. I think it's the best damn thing to ever happen to video video games. And the Euphoria physics in this game is going to be insane. So the advanced Euphoria physics engine returns, of course, in Grand Theft Auto 6 with significant improvements and enhancements that create more realistic character reactions and interactions. NPCs will react naturally to physical impacts, stumble when shot, and display dynamic balance recovery rather than scripted falling animations. I don't have to tell you that though. If you've played any Rockstar game, you know that, duh. But now it's going to be much more complex looking. Think about Red Dead Redemption 2's incredible Euphoria physics. Now think about mods like the Live Leak mod and how insane that looks. You know, you've probably seen a kill montage for Red Dead Redemption 2 and they use these really cool Euphoria physics plugins. Well, this is going to be something that's better than even that. This integration with AI systems means NPCs don't just think more realistically, they move and react physically in believable ways that enhance the overall sense of interacting with real people rather than programmed entities. So Take-Two CEO Strauss Zelnick has emphasized Take-Two CEO Strauss Zelnick has emphasized that while digital tools have always been part of game development, the creative genius is human. The company is leveraging artificial intelligence to enhance rather than replace human creativity. And that is something I absolutely love to hear. And that should be humanity's relationship with AI. I could get on my soapbox right now about how it's replacing art instead of making our lives easier, but yada yada, you get it. Anyways, AI is supposed to get the obnoxious stuff out of the way, and it feels like that's what it's doing this time. It's getting all of the number crunching and data efficiencies out of the way so that Rockstar Games can see their vision for Grand Theft Auto 6 through to fruition. Because yes, they're using machine learning, but it's to create more interesting and diverse NPC behaviors rather than manually scripting them. By doing this, you allow for virtually infinite possibilities. And that's what we want out of our NPCs. That's the thing that should be able to make decisions based off the context of a given situation, independent of being told what to do by a developer. Rockstar's approach represents the most ambitious implementation of artificial intelligence in gaming history, moving beyond simple behavior trees to create truly intelligent digital characters capable of learning, remembering, and evolving their responses based on player interactions. And what's nuts about this is just the beginning of all of this. Guys, in the future, we're going to see a shift towards interactive environments that feel genuinely alive, like in Grand Theft Auto 6. I mean, it's going to become more and more common. NPCs that remember, learn, and adapt and respond like real people, creating unprecedented levels of immersion that blur the lines between digital and reality. In a way, it's kind of scary, but that's another conversation. This technology positions Grand Theft Auto 6 not just as another video game, but as a breakthrough in interactive simulation that will influence the entire entertainment industry. NPCs won't just populate the world, they'll inhabit it as believable digital citizens with their own lives, memories, and relationships. The revolutionary AI in Grand Theft Auto 6 represents the biggest leap forward in NPC intelligence since the inception of open world gaming, promising to deliver the most realistic and immersive virtual world ever created. Alright, I hope you enjoyed that video. Now we've got another one covering Grand Theft Auto 6's physics systems and how they'll potentially work. Let's check it out. Grand Theft Auto 6's physics will be the most realistic physics we've ever seen in a video game ever. Now, if you watch my video on the AI of Grand Theft Auto 6, you know just how crazy and nutty all this stuff gets. And yes, the artificial intelligence enhancements are absolutely insane, but will the physics systems in Grand Theft Auto 6 live up to that same bold scale? You know what I'm saying? Will it live up to that? And while Rockstar Games has been doing a bunch of stuff with physics in the past, they are going to go bigger and better than ever before. We're talking groundbreaking systems that will make this the most physically realistic open world game ever created. So after extensive research and after staying up way too long, multiple nights in a row, looking at leaked footage, technical patents, and industry reports, I have put together this video about the scope of Rockstar's physics innovations for Grand Theft Auto 6, and I can tell you it is nothing short of extraordinary. So at the heart of Grand Theft Auto 6's physics breakthrough is the new Rage 9 engine. You heard me talk about it in the AI video, and it's a huge leap from its predecessors. The latest iteration brings revolutionary improvements across multiple areas. Game physics with water physically simulated in real time and enhanced vehicle deformations, more realistic time management systems, superior rendering quality, including advanced texture and volumetric lighting, and dramatically improved artificial intelligence for NPCs and police interactions. The graphics gap between Red Dead Redemption 2 and Grand Theft Auto 6 will be greater than the difference between Grand Theft Auto 5 and Red Dead Redemption 2. Let that sink in. In fact, one of you guys told me that, and I looked that up and found that online. lines. So yeah, you were right. This represents the most significant technological advancement in Rockstar's history, with Rage 9 featuring physically simulated lighting for the first time in the Grand Theft Auto series, made possible through physics-based rendering. So let's talk about these $300 million water physics. Perhaps the most ambitious physics system in Grand Theft Auto 6 is its revolutionary water technology. And duh, it takes place in Florida or Leonida, right? There's a lot of water, different types of water. There's ocean water, there's going to be rivers, there's going to be lakes, there's going to be swamps. Well, Rockstar has reportedly allocated between $200 to $300 million specifically for water physics development, with a dedicated team of 20 engineers from the Rage Technology Group working exclusively on this system. These guys know all things water. So unlike traditional games that use mesh-based water systems for performance efficiency, Grand Theft Auto 6 introduces real-time physically simulated water. Now, how are they doing this? Well, if you watched my video on the artificial intelligence of NPCs in Grand Theft Auto 6, you know that Rockstar is using AI to basically make the most efficient systems possible to handle this for processing power. I mean, this thing's got to run on a PS5, so it's going to have to, which that is a whole nother video, because honestly, if you know what that means, you know how big of a freaking deal that's going to be for all video games in the future. Basically, games have kind of hit a ceiling in what they can do. And yes, we've maxed out what we can do with graphics, but now it's time to explore what we can do with the processor. Well, artificial intelligence has come up with all of these efficient systems to make that just infinitely better. But anyways, that's another video. I think I just gave myself a new video idea. Let's talk more about this $300 million water. This technology has existed before, okay? So it's been used in film and in 3D applications for years, but it's never been achievable in real time, like in video games, until now. This system calculates water behavior dynamically, including high and low tides, realistic wave physics, and even bird interactions that create authentic water splashing effects. The ocean is going to play a crucial role in Grand Theft Auto 6's universe, obviously, with new activities like surfing potentially becoming available. Water is going to respond realistically to environmental factors like wind, helicopter downwash, and vehicle interactions, creating an unprecedented level of aquatic realism. Ooh. You like that? Aquatic realism? I should patent that. Aquatic realism, coming May 26, 2026. But you know, it's not all just about $300 million water, which I think is really impressive. There's also advanced vehicle physics. Duh, right? But just how realistic we talking? Well, in my previous videos, I saw how divisive it was. Some people prefer Grand Theft Auto 4's more realistic approach to driving, and other people like Grand Theft Auto 5, and I'm not going to beat up on it any more than I already have. But it's basically an arcade driving game. But anyways, I will say that for some people, Grand Theft Auto 4's realistic and super giga chad amazing incredible driving can maybe feel a little bit cumbersome. You know, maybe. And in Grand Theft Auto 5's arcade style mechanics, they could feel too cartoony and boring and make everything drive exactly the same. Well, this new system that is coming in Grand Theft Auto 6 features meticulously calibrated body roll where weight transitions fluidly during cornering, compressing outer suspension while subtly lifting the inner side. If you know anything about cars, this is very similar to how it works in the real world, which is cool because it's going to have cars handled the way they do around sharp turns and stuff like that in real life without the overly emphasized suspension characteristics that made Grand Theft Auto 4's feel a little like a boat to some people. To some people, not me, I love it. For the first time in a Rockstar title, tires visibly deform under pressure. Sharp turns and acceleration reveal tire compression as they contact the road, creating authentic grip simulation. Independent suspension movement means wheels operate independently when traversing through rough terrain. So this is going to give the impression of multi-link suspension systems rather than rigid models. The damage modeling has been completely overhauled, thank God, with advanced deformation systems. So far, the best Grand Theft Auto for deformation systems, in my opinion, has been Grand Theft Auto 4, and actually, I don't even think that's opinion, that's just a straight up fact. Grand Theft Auto 5 did dumb it down a lot, but this is going to blow anything we've ever seen out of the water. This is going to blow away even Grand Theft Auto 4, which I'll glaze all day for eternity. So expect absolutely ridiculous levels of deformation with vehicles, maybe even better than BeamNG. We'll see. Flip vehicles are also going to be able to show leaking fluid from underneath, so like indicating simulated oil and fuel reservoirs. Wheels are going to be able to bend at various angles, demonstrating independent damage to both suspension and axles. And this new physics system is going to use significant increase in polygon count compared to Grand Theft Auto 5. So this is going to enable, of course, more precise deformations and realistic accident representation. But let's get into those sweet, sexy Euphoria physics. One of the most anticipated returns in Grand Theft Auto 6 is the enhanced Euphoria physics system. This revolutionary animation technology, first introduced in Grand Theft Auto 4, creates unscripted character reactions where NPCs grab walls, stumble when shot, and collapse unpredictably. While Grand Theft Auto 5 and Red Dead Redemption 2 used more scripted animations, Grand Theft Auto 6 appears to bring back dynamic, physics-driven behavior in an even more advanced form. Thank God, because that was so freaking cool to see in Grand Theft Auto 4. But as one commenter pointed out in one of my previous videos, it also made certain things kind of look goofy sometimes. Well, now in this game, with basically the new context pool and that these systems are going to be able to draw from, you're going to have reactions that not only look realistic, like, you know, they would be if they were predefined with animations, but you're going to have them be dynamic and interesting like they were in Grand Theft Auto 4. Also, Take-Two now completely owns the Euphoria engine through their acquisition of Zynga, I think that's how you say it, which is great because that's going to enable unlimited development of this technology. Now let's talk about those cloth and fluid physics. Grand Theft Auto 6 introduces revolutionary cloth physics systems that simulate fabric behavior with extraordinary realism. The game features complex hair physics simulations, body part movement with realistic deformation, and clothing that responds dynamically to environmental factors like wind and character movement. The fluid physics system represents another breakthrough, handling everything from sweat and blood to tears and raindrops. This system uses 2D simulation with 3D visualization. Man, I can't talk tonight. 3D visualization. Visualization. Ugh. Calculating fluid movement based on gravity, surface properties, and animation data. The technology accounts for multiple dynamic properties, including wind effects, lift-off where fluids drop naturally, roll-off where fluids move to adjacent areas, evaporation even, and production where fluids are emitted and begin flowing. So if you want to walk around as shirtless Jason, you can get to know him down to his pores, which is, you do you, man. One commenter, though, asked me about destructible environments, so I did want to kind of look at that and touch on this a little bit. So Grand Theft Auto 6 will feature the most advanced destructible environment system in the franchise's history. Now, we're not going to have skyscrapers tumbling and falling into each other or anything like that, but according to insider reports, approximately 40% of the buildings will be iterable, while 60% of the structures can be destroyed to varying degrees. I don't know what that really means, but it sounds like the system's going to go a little bit further beyond window breaking. So there's going to be some destructible walls, there's going to be interiors that can be shot out, roofs can be destroyed and bent depending on what's occurring. Now this stuff is very processor heavy, and a lot of the stuff Grand Theft Auto 6 is doing is already very processor heavy. So I would assume if they're making cuts anywhere right now to make sure the other things flow great, it's going to be from here. But the destruction physics is going to ensure that debris scatters realistically throughout the map, with every object having a physical presence. So roads can be damaged by rockets, and the environments are going to retain lasting damage from player actions. So basically longer timers on the decals. And like I said, it's not going to offer complete destruction like some specialized games. I mean, your game really has to be completely focused around that in order for that to be what's going to happen. But this system is going to provide significant environmental impact without compromising the core gameplay experience. How about that weather though? The weather system in Grand Theft Auto 6 represents a massive leap forward in environmental physics. The dynamic weather affects not only visuals, but actual gameplay mechanics, with storms and hurricanes feeling genuinely impactful. Wind moves poles and road signs, and can cause NPCs to even lose their balance and seek shelter. And it's going to directly affect vehicle handling. This system includes realistic storm physics where NPCs rush for cover, they'll use umbrellas during rain like they did in Grand Theft Auto 4, and they'll change their routines based on temperature and weather conditions. Traffic patterns change during bad weather, puddles form dynamically, and extreme weather events like hurricanes can knock down trees and buildings, adding layers of unpredictability and strategy to gameplay. Oh boy, I can't wait for that. You know, there's probably not going to be like tornadoes, but someone's going to make a tornado mod eventually, and oh man, it's going to be crazy to see, especially if they do retain a lot of that destructible environment stuff. Although I'm sure if they're trimming fat anywhere, they're going to probably be trimming it from there. That's just what I think though. There's nothing that says that anywhere, at least nothing that I found. But what about character animations? So Grand Theft Auto 6's character animation system is going to use procedural motion technology that breaks movement into reusable building blocks. We've heard me talk about this building block stuff in my previous video. Instead of relying on massive animation libraries, the system dynamically assembles character behavior in real time. So a pedestrian might bend over their phone trying to shield it from the rain, and maybe they were shot so they're limping while still doing all of that. And you can see how that kind of paints a picture of what this person would be doing. That's a seamless combination of multiple animation elements. In this case, limp animation plus item holding plus weather reactive movement. And you know, in a lot of games, when you do stuff, no matter how realistic the animations look, if you do anything to trigger an NPC out of that animation, it can be jarring because they'll just snap to it. Well, now you're going to have these different states kind of flow in and out of what the NPC is doing. And so you're going to have very fluid fluid reactions and movements, like you see in real life, with how the human brain processes information. So these AI systems enable NPCs to exhibit incredibly lifelike behaviors with complex daily routines that go beyond simple patterns. NPCs react to player actions with nuanced memory systems, and this is going to encourage players to consider their impact on the game world. Basically, FAFO, the game, which everyone loves to say that these days. Sorry, I'm really tired. I record these at like 2 in the morning. What do you want from me? But now let's talk about lighting in visual physics. So Grand Theft Auto 6 will be the first Grand Theft Auto game to feature physically simulated lighting. Using physics-based rendering materials, surfaces exhibit realistic optical characteristics, including proper reflection and roughness, which is dope. The lighting system utilizes ray tracing and ray trace global illumination, creating natural-looking shadows and reflections that bounce realistically off surfaces. The visual improvements extend to incredibly detailed environmental effects. Individual blades of grass, for example, are modeled separately. Beer forms realistic bubbles and foam. Sweat drips and glistens on character bodies, and car mirrors show detailed reflections with light passing through the glass to produce accurate refractions. These minute details combine to create an unprecedented level of photorealism. And I remember when I found this part, I just can't wrap my mind around how a PS5 is going to run this without exploding, or how it's even going to run it at 30 frames per second if I'm being real. Because yeah, games, they look pretty. They're beautiful these days. That's your graphics processing power. That's your GPU. All of this stuff is super CPU intensive, man. So whatever they've been coming up with their artificial intelligence to make things more efficient on the processing side is astounding, to say the least, because this stuff sounds too good to be true. But this is Rockstar Games, so if it sounds too good to be true, it is, but they're going to do it anyway. So what's going to make Grand Theft Auto 6's physics truly revolutionary is not really any single one of these systems, although they're absolutely mind-blowing, but imagine all of this crap working together in a cohesive, realistic experience. A combination of advanced water simulation, enhanced vehicle dynamics, returning euphoria physics that are dialed up to 11 and similar to Grand Theft Auto 4's, destructible to some extent environments, dynamic weather, and procedural generation creates a level of physical realism never seen before in a video game. Not ever. Guys, we're living in biblical times. I'm telling you, when it comes to video games, I don't know how a PS5 is going to run this. Is Grand Theft Auto 6 going to shift with a box and you just press the on button and boom, Grand Theft Auto 6 turns on? I don't know how anything could run this short of a really expensive computer. So I don't know. All right, so we've talked a bunch about like physics, features, AI, all that kind of stuff. But what about the map? This next video, man, it's going to show you just how insane the Grand Theft Auto 6 mapping world really is. So check this out. The Grand Theft Auto 6 unofficial mapping community represents one of the most ambitious and sophisticated fan projects in gaming history, with over 3 years of meticulous work producing maps that may be 95 to 98% accurate to the final game. This is an extraordinary achievement, and it stems from a perfect storm of leaked data, advanced analytical techniques, and unprecedented community coordination. And man, I'm not joking about these techniques. You'll see what I mean. They are insane. So how did these mappers go about creating this map for Grand Theft Auto 6 when they've seen nothing? Well, they have seen something. You see, the entire mapping project hinges on crucial details from the September 2022 leak. Every piece of leak footage contained Rage Engine coordinates displayed in the bottom black bar of the screen. Now, I'm not going to show that for obvious reasons, but just trust me, bro. These coordinates use the International System of Units, where positions are measured in meters, providing mappers with exact spatial data to work with. Now, Doopser, and forgive me if I'm pronouncing that wrong, I'm going to put the name up here, but Doopser, the original project leader, leveraged these coordinates to establish a foundational grid system. By placing white dots representing specific leak locations and using triangulation methods, the community created accurate border outlines of the entire map. So this coordinate-based approach is really what gives this weight and separates this mapping project for Grand Theft Auto 6 from just full-blown fan speculation. And that's why they've been accurate in the past, for games like Grand Theft Auto 5. The mapping project's accuracy has evolved dramatically over its 3-year development cycle, of course. So September 2022 started at, an estimated 30 to 40% accuracy with basic outlines from leak coordinates. December 2023, we're talking 70 to 80% accuracy after Trailer 1 provided Vice City details. Now, May 2025, we're talking 85 to 90% accuracy following Trailer 2's release. And in September 2025, the estimated accuracy is somewhere between 95 and 98%. This progression is very similar to the Grand Theft Auto 5 mapping project, which achieved roughly 95% accuracy and proved remarkably faithful to the final game. Now, this unofficial mapping project is no small feat. We're talking 16,600 Discord members with dozens of daily active contributors. Major contributors include Yanis, currently leads the most accurate map version, incorporating all Trailer 2 data and maintaining the most up-to-date version. His map includes elevation markers, refined coastlines, and detailed Vice City layouts. Then there's Rick, who specializes in extremely detailed Vice City area mapping, placing roads, buildings, and infrastructure as accurately as possible. His work focuses primarily on street-level precision. Then there's Darkspace, who created a playable 1-to-1 scale implementation in GTA 5's engine before being shut down by Take-Two. His work proved the map's scale accuracy by demonstrating that it takes roughly 6 minutes and 10 seconds to cross the Grand Theft Auto 6 map versus 3 minutes and 30 seconds for Grand Theft Auto 5. Then there's Fresh War 5908, who invested over 200 hours recreating Jason's house and surrounding areas in Far Cry 5 Arcade with pretty insane accuracy. In fact, his recreations are so precise that some viewers initially mistook his work for official Grand Theft Auto 6 screenshots. And like I said earlier, this is a lot more in-depth than just simple speculation. Mappers also extensively use Google Earth data to match Grand Theft Auto 6 locations with their real Florida counterparts. This approach leverages Rockstar's historical accuracy in recreating real-world locations, with Grand Theft Auto 6 showing unprecedented fidelity to actual Miami geography. Then, of course, there's frame-by-frame analysis. The community created 4K renders of all 2,276 frames from Trailer 1 and continues this meticulous analysis with subsequent releases. Every screenshot, road sign, and coordinate system gets scrutinized for mapping data. I'm telling you, this stuff is nuts. Before Take-Two's Takedown, which that's catchy, that sounds like a video game, Take-Two's Takedown, Darkspace's Grand Theft Auto 5 implementation provided a playable proof of concept showing accurate scale relationships between locations. Players could drive the same routes seen in trailers and experience realistic travel times. Current maps detail numerous confirmed areas based on official reveals and leaked analysis. Vice City, the most detailed area, featuring street-level accuracy with individual buildings mapped. The layout matches Miami's actual geography while incorporating Rockstar's creative liberties. Then there's the Leonida Keys. Bridges and Jason's safe house location are also precisely positioned. There's some new areas that came from Trailer 2, which revealed Ambrosia, Watson Bay, Port Gellhorn, and Mount Calaga. The community rapidly integrated these locations using triangulation methods and screenshot analysis as well. So you're starting to see kind of a trend here on how they go about doing this stuff. So where do these guys operate? Well, this project operates through multiple sophisticated platforms. There's the ViMap website. It's an interactive platform allowing users to explore maps, toggle different versions, and access over 100 points of interest. The site includes trailer scene locations and real-world landmark markers. Then, of course, there's that massive Discord community I talked about earlier, with over 16,600 members actively analyzing and mapping daily. This server includes specialized channels for different regions, with everyone kind of segmented out, broken up, doing their own individual tasks. Yanis maintains live updates showing mapping progress in real time, allowing community members to follow developments as they happen. Now, of course, there are some challenges and limitations. Despite impressive accuracy, several factors limit absolute precision. There's, of course, speculative analysis, like the northern regions, they remain largely unknown, with orange outlines on maps indicating speculative borders versus confirmed black outlines. The Panhandle region is particularly uncertain. And, of course, there's development changes. As Rockstar continues active development, potentially altering locations shown in early footage, the mapping community acknowledges that their work represents a snapshot rather than the final geography. And then, annoyingly, there's Take-Two's interference. The company has aggressively targeted mapping projects, shutting down Darkspace's playable mod and threatening Fortnite recreations. This legal pressure limits the community's ability to create fully playable demonstrations, unfortunately. But it's pretty crazy because the project's mathematical foundation provides unprecedented accuracy. Using Rage Engine coordinates, mappers can determine exact distances between locations. For example, recent analysis shows the distance from the southern Keys to northern Vice City measures approximately 14.54 kilometers, or 9.03 miles, with the total map potentially being 70% larger than Grand Theft Auto 5. Wow. Mappers measure building shadows as well to determine heights and orientations. This technique helps establish three-dimensional accuracy beyond simple ground-level positioning. Then there's coordinate cross-referencing. Every new piece of official media gets analyzed for coordinate data, with positions cross-referenced against existing map locations to maintain spatial consistency. And if you look back at the Grand Theft Auto 5 mapping project, it provides validation to their methods. The earlier effort, completed with significantly less source material, achieved 95% accuracy, with only minor landmark and road placement errors. The Grand Theft Auto 6 project benefits from substantially more data thanks to the leaks, plus the trailers and screenshots. Also, the community's conservative approach to accuracy claims reflects lessons learned from previous projects. Areas are clearly marked as speculative versus confirmed, with accuracy percentages representing realistic estimates rather than numbers to just get you hyped. So as you can see, these unofficial maps are really only technically unofficial. So much goes into these things that what you're looking at is pretty much what you're going to get in the final game. All right, so I hope you enjoyed that. I thought it was pretty insane just how much effort they put into these freaking map projects. But you know, we haven't talked about Grand Theft Auto Online yet. So let's look at a bunch of leaks and speculation and see what Grand Theft Auto 6 Online is going to be like. A little while back, someone commented, hey man, you should talk about Grand Theft Auto 6 Online. And I'll tell you, in making this video, I got myself hyped for Grand Theft Auto 6 Online. So I know you're about to be hyped as well. Speaking of hype, if you enjoy this video, hype me up. Grand Theft Auto 6 Online is going to be absolutely insane. But unfortunately, it's not going to launch with the base game. Probably not. It's going to most likely, just like in Grand Theft Auto 5, launch sometime after the game's main release, which is scheduled for May 26, 2026. And hopefully it doesn't get pushed back to something like October, but you know, Rockstar does that. We'll see how it goes. We are getting closer, guys. So anyways, I made this video to kind of look at Grand Theft Auto 6 Online and just see what this next iteration is going to look like based on leaks, speculation, all sorts of nonsense, and just common sense. So anyways, we'll start with the more concrete stuff and we'll get into my loony conspiracy at the very end, which I really think we are going to see because I believe Grand Theft Auto 6 Online is going to be here to stay much longer than we saw Grand Theft Auto 5 Online. But you'll see what I'm talking about later in this video. So real quick, let's talk about that launch timing. It's looking like the standalone Grand Theft Auto 6 Online mode is expected to release shortly after the main story launches. I'm sure they're going to want to get that going as quickly as possible, considering it is their cash cow, and they're going to throw as many shark cards at us as possible. So it may be separated probably by a few weeks to months. I just wanted to let you know, expect that. Nothing is confirmed at this time though, as far as its actual launch. Now let's look at the core features and some innovations in the next iteration of Grand Theft Auto Online. So of course, there's going to be clean slate progression. What do I mean by that? Well, it doesn't matter how big and bad you were in Grand Theft Auto 5 Online, you are going to have to start all over. And you know what? It is what it is. So players are going to begin anew. Grand Theft Auto Online progress, characters, properties, vehicles, and in-game money from Grand Theft Auto 5 are not going to transfer to Grand Theft Auto 6 Online. This is intended, of course, to balance the game world and eliminate the inflation and overpowered items found in the older online world. Also, Grand Theft Auto Online is kind of held together with duct tape and bubblegum at this point because they didn't know how big of a deal it was going to be, and they've just kind of added new pieces and chunks and modules to it. And as it's grown over time, it's kind of this weird inflated Frankenstein's monster, just a hodgepodge of a bunch of different things slapped together. Not saying it's not fun, but if you play it, you know what I'm talking about. So that's another thing. Don't only expect to start over from square one with a clean slate, but expect a much more streamlined, put together experience because they've learned so much from Grand Theft Auto 5 Online. So in Grand Theft Auto 6 Online, it makes sense that they've got a huge roadmap for this baby because they know that this is going to make them a ton of money, which also means that the experience is probably going to be a lot more grounded, well, in some cases, but it's going to be a lot more fun and probably make a lot more sense. And when I say it's going to be grounded, expect like role play and stuff like that, but hey, I'll talk about that here in a little bit. Let's go ahead and talk about returning player bonuses. So yes, you have to start from square one if you're a returning player who's got years and you're a Grand Theft Auto Online veteran, but loyalty rewards such as exclusive clothing, decals, or startup bonuses will probably be offered based on prior achievements, but not a full progress transfer. But you'll have something to show, hey, I did this in the previous thing. So it's kind of like when you prestige in Call of Duty, right? Except in a totally different game. Now here's something really exciting. Grand Theft Auto Online and Grand Theft Auto 6 is going to have an expanded player count. So GTA 6 Online aims to have much larger lobbies. Leaks point to 64 player lobbies and Rockstar targeting up to even 96 player sessions for a much denser online experience. Also, this map is going to be freaking huge, so it makes sense that they're going to want to do that, or you might never run into anyone. Even in Grand Theft Auto 5 Online, sometimes you don't run into anybody unless they're coming after you on their flying bike of death, which hopefully we don't see any of those in Grand Theft Auto 6 Online, at least for 10 years.
Hey Andy, don't forget to close up.
What? Huh? Yeah, don't worry, I will.
Yeah?
I mean, yes sir. Yes, I will, Frank.
That's better. Don't let this stuff go to your head.
Okay.
I'm serious. You should be very thankful your Uncle Jeff lets you use this place.
Yeah, I know. I'm sorry. I had no disrespect. I'm sorry, man.
You mean sir?
Yes, sir. Sorry, Frank. Sir. Okay, back to the video. So if you play Grand Theft Auto Online, you probably know that the loading can really suck sometimes, like when you're trying to jump to other things. I feel like it's the biggest hang up in that and really pulls you out of the immersion of what you're doing. So in Grand Theft Auto 6 Online, let's talk about fluid access technology. New session management tech will enable seamless activity transitions with players interacting across sessions and free roam without loading screens, thanks to upgraded backend tech. That is freaking awesome. And of course, they want you to not have any distractions distractions and things that break your immersion while playing the game, because they want you to play it as long as possible and buy their shark cards or whatever the next iteration of that is. So in a way, it works to your favor. They want to make sure the game is as addicting as possible and also make sure there's no distractions while you are exploring Vice City and the surrounding area of Leonida with your buddies. So earlier I mentioned roleplay features, so let's talk about that a little bit. Rockstar recently acquired FiveM, and that signals deeper roleplay support, including native tools for role-playing servers, advanced trading systems, and player-driven economies. So I'm sure we're going to have crazy, wacky servers like in Grand Theft Auto 5 where everyone's blowing each other up, but also expect immersive roleplay experiences reminiscent of the popular Grand Theft Auto online roleplay communities. So we're going to see servers where people are just living their lives in this world, and I think that's pretty freaking sweet. You might go fishing with your buddies, someone might be a cop, someone might be a robber, some dude might just own a gas station. Who knows? The possibilities are endless, and I think that this is going to be absolutely nuts to see the future, because I think these roleplay servers in Grand Theft Auto 6 online are going to kind of be the biggest MMO of all time. That's just what I think. But let's talk about user-generated content. So creation of custom maps, missions, game modes, and all that kind of stuff. Very similar to back in the day. If you played Halo 3, you remember how big it was to have the Forge mode come out and being able to create all sorts of wacky stuff like jumping around on obstacle courses and racetracks and stuff like that. And I know that it's been expanded upon in later games and that this exists in other games, but that's what I remember because I remember how revolutionary that was. Well, I can't even begin to comprehend how insane that tech is going to be in Grand Theft Auto 6 online. So expect there to be a bunch of user-created content and custom servers, custom maps, stuff like that, and missions and game modes. So the possibilities are really endless. Remember, guys, the budget is $2 billion. And I'd say a good half of that budget is probably going to single player, and the other half is going to the foundations of what is going to be the biggest Grand Theft Auto online experience of all time. So expect all sorts of stuff like this user-generated content, roleplay features, no loading screens, the expanded player count, just all sorts of crazy stuff. Balancing the systems of Grand Theft Auto Online to give you the best possible experience, very much like a dynamic economy in trading. So the online marketplace and trading mechanics will allow peer-to-peer transactions for vehicles, weapons, properties, and more, moving players towards a player-driven economy. And isn't that what we've always wanted? It's going to be absolutely awesome. And you know, that's why people still play RuneScape to this day, because people love capitalism, the game. So also expect mission improvements, enhanced mission variety, more interactive gameplay, moving past the repetitive objectives that Grand Theft Auto Online had, because Grand Theft Auto 5 Online kind of turned into just a massive grind of go here, go there, go here, go there, to move money around and grind and build your money, only to buy something and do it all again. And yes, it is an addicting gameplay loop, but man, it sure was infuriating to be driving around and get blown up by one of those flying bikes. But with these improved missions and everything like that, expect better solo play while you are in multiplayer, with reduced griefing and being able to really immerse yourself in the world. I'm telling you guys, they're really going to double down on this roleplay stuff. So not only are we going to have all that, but we're going to have the actual gameplay advancements from the single player of Grand Theft Auto 6 itself in GTA 6 Online. So just remember, that alone is already going to be a huge leap and change in how you experience and play it. And that might sound obvious to you, but really think about it. Refined aiming, driving, interior exploration, mini games, and of course those sexy next-gen graphical improvements. It's going to be awesome, guys. So there's also some anticipated stuff like balanced vehicles and weapons, so a little bit more grounded and realistic of a selection, and cutting back on the futuristic and overpowered items. And I really think that they had to add those items later on in Grand Theft Auto 5 to give players a reason to keep coming back. Remember, Grand Theft Auto Online was basically Frankenstein's monster with a bunch of stuff held together by duct tape and bubblegum, so there was a bunch of things that they couldn't do in that game that they're now going to be able to do, things that need to be established at the core. So if they're already establishing roleplay style gameplay from the get-go, players are going to have a much more immersive experience, and that will allow for longevity in the core gameplay itself, rather than having to constantly throw crazy stuff at you like laser guns and flying bikes with missiles. Although I'm sure we are still going to see that in the future. So there's also going to be improved session security most likely. So Rockstar intends to reduce hacking and exploits. And man, if you know, you know. I've seen them in Grand Theft Auto 5 Online, and I didn't play that much of it compared to other people. So you probably know what I'm talking about. Expect there to be less hackers and stuff like that, although there's probably still going to be some. And of course, expect regular content updates, all sorts of stuff, themed updates, very much like Grand Theft Auto 5 Online, but this time I think they're going to go bigger and better, with focus on depth and immersion in Vice City and Leonida. It's going to be incredible. Who knows? We might finally get Undead Nightmare, but in Grand Theft Auto Online, and that would be freaking awesome to have an online zombies mode in GTA Online. Done very, very well, that is. So with all of these features and the roleplay elements and stuff, you might even have full-blown DayZ-style survival servers set in Leonida or Vice City. Again, remember, we're starting with a clean slate. There's going to be more players in lobbies. The economy's not going to be inflated and broken. It's going to actually start over and be player-driven and probably regulated by Rockstar. There's going to be deep roleplay tools integrated into the game, custom maps, modes, an advanced editor. Loading screens are going to be virtually non-existent. Things are going to be fluid and amazing. You're going to be able to ping-pong back and forth between single player and online like a breeze. Tighten controls, reduced griefing. Man, just making this video, I'm making myself excited for GTA 6 Online, and I'm not even really that much of a GTA Online fan. But earlier, I mentioned kind of a crackpot theory, and I'm going to share it with you guys right now.
Are you still not done?
What? Frank, what's the matter tonight, man? You seem like you're really charged up about something.
Well, you come in here and you act like a king, and this isn't your place, so...
Dude, what are you talking about? Literally every single time I come in here, I take excellent care of the place. I don't even smoke in here anymore, man. I always leave on time. I close up on time. What is the deal?
Just hurry it up.
Fine. Yes, sir. Okay. God damn, what's this freaking problem tonight, man? So there's absolutely no official confirmation of what I'm about to tell you, but there's been rumors of a Grand Theft Auto 4 remaster, right? And Grand Theft Auto 5 Online has already done its thing and the map works and everything, and it wouldn't take much of a graphical upgrade, especially with all the iterations of the Grand Theft Auto 5 map that they've been doing. So eventually, I think it's fair to say, expect every single Grand Theft Auto city and location to be in Grand Theft Auto 6 Online, to where you can go to the airport, fly to Liberty City, fly to Los Santos, and maybe eventually the addition of Las Venturas and San Fierro, and maybe even other places. I think Grand Theft Auto 6 Online is going to be where this game ends, and it's going to constantly evolve from there and change over time. It's going to be an MMO. It's going to be the ultimate online crime roleplay MMO that people have been trying to create for decades. And their ideas have always been so ambitious, but they haven't had the resources for the follow-through. Well, guess who does? Rockstar Games. So I think in time, we're eventually going to be able to fly over to Liberty City, do our stuff there, fly to Los Santos, and it just makes sense. Think about it. With all the years and time and everything that people have put into Grand Theft Auto 5 Online, they're going to want to revisit that place. It's going to be really cool going back there with all this new stuff. I don't know. I could just see a huge event around it. Man, we have covered a bunch of Grand Theft Auto 6 details now, and if you're still here, props to you. But let's talk about funtivities, activities. What are we actually going to do in this game when we're not doing story missions? Let's check it out. So every day that passes, Grand Theft Auto 6 is getting closer. Every day you wake up, every day you breathe, every day you go back to sleep. Don't worry, we are getting closer to Grand Theft Auto 6. And that is good news for a lot of us, considering everything going on in the world. You know, I keep seeing this running joke on, oh man, I hope I live to see Grand Theft Auto 6. And don't worry, I felt that way about Skyrim back in 2010, and I made it to 2011, believe it or not. So don't worry, you're gonna make it to see Grand Theft Auto 6. But today, since we're all excited about Grand Theft Auto 6, I had a comment saying to cover some of the activities that are going to be in Grand Theft Auto 6. So I kind of went down the rabbit hole, and I have put together a massive list of activities that are confirmed, speculated, and some wild theories on activities that are going to be in Grand Theft Auto 6. So we're going to start out with the confirmed activities, loosely confirmed. Nothing's really confirmed until the game is in our hands. Then we're going to get into the highly speculated activities, and then we are going to get into the outlandish stuff, which you know I love, and I'm trying to structure these videos in a way now where I'm very clear on when I'm getting into that kind of stuff. But as always, take everything I say with a grain of salt because, again, we don't have the game in our hands. But let's get excited. So let's start out with these confirmed activities. So these kinds of activities have either been confirmed officially through like trailers, screenshots. So let's start out with some of the obvious ones. We're going to have fishing. And this has been confirmed in official screenshots showing Jason and Cal fishing from boats. I don't think Rockstar is going to show something like that and then have it not be a feature, especially after how incredible it was in Red Dead Redemption 2. Definitely expect we're going to Vice City, we're going to Florida, Leonida, whatever. There is going to be fishing in this game. So between all of the crazy robberies and all the crazy nonsense, you can stop, take in the smell of the salt from the ocean and all of that stuff, feel the humidity on your skin while doing some fishing with your buddies. And you know what? It looks like we're going to be able to hang out with buddies too, because, you know, Jason and Cal, it'd be cool to call them up instead of, hey, Niko, let's go bowling. It'll be, hey, Jason, let's go fishing. Moving on, we've got jet skiing. So jet skiing is going to be in the game. Now, to what extent, I'm not certain. I mean, really, to jet ski, all you need to do is get on one and go jet skiing. And it's going to be really cool getting on a jet ski and just playing with kind of how the water physics work in the game. I'm really excited to do that. Next, we have kayaking, and that has been confirmed in an official Rockstar screenshot. Over here, you can see this guy kayaking over at Mount Calaga. So kayak to your heart's content. It seems like this game's going to have some slower paced activities, which is really cool because it'll be a nice contrast from the chaos and violence and all that kind of stuff that we're going to see in story missions and side missions and stuff like that. Very similar to how Red Dead Redemption 2 kind of balanced it. And of course, I mean, if you play Grand Theft Auto 5, I mean, come on, all of you have, there's going to be scuba diving. If you remember back when Grand Theft Auto 5 was coming out, they were talking so much about exploring underwater, how cool it's going to be. There's going to be a submarine, and it was cool. They did a lot of, cool stuff. You can go underwater and you could look around, and that was pretty dang new for a Grand Theft Auto game. We hadn't really seen anything like that before, I think, in a Rockstar game. Well, now you're going to have scuba diving, and expect it to be Subnautica levels of beautiful. There's going to be a lot of underwater exploration in this game, which makes sense because we've got the ocean, there's going to be lakes, there's going to be rivers, there's going to be all sorts of stuff. There's going to be a big presence of water in Grand Theft Auto 6. Now let's move on to like fitness and sports kind of stuff. We're going to have bodybuilding and working out. So if you look between a few of the screenshots, it seems like Jason is either getting stronger or skinnier or maybe a little chubbier. So I think we are going to see a weight loss mechanic and weight gain mechanic like we saw in Red Dead Redemption 2. And now you're going to be able to lift weights and maybe get stronger. So expect it to be kind of like San Andreas and really just very similar to Red Dead Redemption 2. Maybe a little bit expanded on, maybe a little bit more dumbed down, maybe just the same as it was in Red Dead Redemption 2, but we are going to see some sort of workout mechanic in this game. Next, we're going to have mini golf, which is shown in official Rockstar screenshots, and that's going to be really freaking cool. I myself have traveled to the coastal areas of Texas, stuff like Corpus Christi and all that kind of stuff, and they have mini golfing areas out there that are really freaking cool. I don't know what it is about being on the coast and mini golf, but it seems like anytime you're out the coast and there's a tourist trap and there's a lot of tourist stuff, there's mini golf. So of course in Vice City in 2026, we're going to have mini golf. And I'm really excited to see the interactions between like Jason and Cal or Lucia and the stuff they say to each other while playing the mini golf games. It's going to be really cool and really fun time to see some character development. But moving on a little bit from sports, let's talk about like fighting and combat sports. It seems like there's going to be some sort of underground MMA, maybe cage fighting kind of thing. Lucia is shown fighting in an MMA style ring. We also have that shot of her like jumping off of like a plane onto like the landing gear or some sort of door that's open. And so it seems like Lucia has a lot of experience with MMA, and I'm assuming Jason does too. And like we've seen these pictures of like boxing training, so maybe there's going to be boxing, which is a little bit different than your MMA, which is, mixed martial arts. It's looking like there might even be straight up boxing, which would be neat and kind of opens up the idea that there might be multiple fighting styles in this game, similar to San Andreas. That is not confirmed. We'll see on the multiple fighting style stuff, but there's going to be some form of boxing MMA in this game. Now let's move on to like gaming and entertainment stuff. There's of course going to be pool like there was in Grand Theft Auto 4, and I am so glad because I loved playing pool with Roman in Grand Theft Auto 4. I love playing pool with little Jacob in Grand Theft Auto 4. I don't know, there was just something about it. Grand Theft Auto 4 feels so cold and everything, and when you go into that little bar and you play pool with them, it just feels so cozy, and I'm excited to do that again. And it's really fun listening to the characters talk smack to each other while they're playing against each other. So that's going to be really fun. There is going to be video games. We see Jason has like a PlayStation 5 or something like that. If you've watched my video on space elements being in Grand Theft Auto 6, you'll know that there's probably going to be a Republican Space Rangers game or something like that. If not, there's going to be some sort of video games that we can play and interact with, which isn't a big surprise. Rockstar's always had that. If you remember in Grand Theft Auto San Andreas, there was that little spaceship game you could play as CJ at his home. There's going to be stuff like that, just more thought out, and maybe some pretty intricate games within a game. We've been seeing more and more of that as time's gone on, like in Fallout 4, how you could find little game holotapes and put them in your Pit-Boy and play it. So expect something pretty cool from the game consoles within Grand Theft Auto 6. I've got a feeling that they're going to go a little extra with the games in Grand Theft Auto 6 that you can play within the game, and why not? Rockstar likes to flex. And of course, there's going to be watching TV, which has been a feature since Grand Theft Auto 4. Now in Grand Theft Auto 5, I felt like they might have dumbed it down just a little bit, or maybe just had less channels or just less stuff on. I could be wrong about that, but I do remember in Grand Theft Auto 4 sitting down at Roman's apartment at the very beginning of the game, as soon as Niko gets off the boat, he's tired and he's watching some TV, before he goes and sees Roman for the first time.
Okay, who's in charge now, huh? So suddenly this guy comes out and he attacks me. I grab a beer bottle, break it on the table, stab it in his face. It's bleeding everywhere.
And I loved the TV channels in Grand Theft Auto 4. They were hysterical. Some of the best stuff I've ever seen in a video game for comedy.
Imagine that, okay? Get your mind around that. Flipping shrimp like on a cruise ship forever.
So I'm really excited to see what they do with Grand Theft Auto 6 and to see their commentary on our world these days, because my God, it has been since 2008 now since Grand Theft Auto 4 came out. So man, it's weird. That's not relevant commentary anymore. If anything, Grand Theft Auto 4 is kind of becoming a period piece, kind of like, Vice City or something. I don't know. It's weird. Moving on on, we're going to have dancing, which is, obvious based off of the trailers and stuff. It seems like we can go dancing with Lucia. You can expect some more like date night kind of activities and stuff since, our protagonists are going to be a couple, and that's going to be really freaking cool. But as you know, they're going all out on outdoor activities this time around, especially coming hot off of Red Dead Redemption 2. They're going to be bringing a lot of that kind of stuff into the game. So you can expect stuff like hunting, and you can expect it to be just as good as it was in Red Dead Redemption 2, and not as lackluster as it was in Grand Theft Auto 5. Now, I do have to give it to them. They did add that feature in Grand Theft Auto 5, and that was impressive, and it was cool. They went really big with Grand Theft Auto 5, but I feel like Red Dead Redemption 2 not only went big, but it had depth to back it up that the hardware at the time of Grand Theft Auto 5's release just couldn't quite cope with. So I'm really looking forward to seeing how they do the hunting in Grand Theft Auto 6, especially with all this modern day tactical, COOL, tactical, with all of that kind of equipment out and about. I don't know if you keep up with guns or hunting and stuff like that, but there's a bunch of fancy equipment that you can go hunting with. So I'm really curious if they're going to kind of explore that world a little bit since we're going to be in Florida or Leonida, and really excited to see it. Next, there's going to be dirt bike racing, which is cool. It's nothing we haven't seen before, but it seems like they're really going all out with it. Ever since we've seen the mud physics from Red Dead Redemption 2 and just kind of how it looks, and I don't know, it's fun to play with the mud in Red Dead Redemption 2 as well as the snow and stuff like that. It seems like we're going to be having some activities in the dirt and mud in Vice City. So like dirt bike racing, ATVs, stuff like that. Seems like it's going to be a lot of fun. But now let's get into criminal activities. So there is going to be bank robberies, whether it's part of just story missions or we can do it independently of story missions. I don't know, but there are going to be bank robberies. So 100% for certain you can count on it because it's featured prominently in trailers as story missions, and I think it will probably remain in story missions given that robbing a bank is a big freaking deal that would change a lot of the stuff around the characters narratively. But for more like small scale robberies that you could do on your own, expect store robberies. I mean, we get a little bit here with Jason hitting the cash register and smacking this guy. So I would expect store robberies. You can kind of do this in other Rockstar games, and they had like little interesting areas you could discover in Red Dead Redemption 2, and then you could do a full-blown scripted robbery, and that was really cool. So there's going to be some sort of robbery system in this game for stores. Now, we don't currently know if it's all the stores or like select stores, kind of like how they did in Red Dead Redemption 2 with their more like scripted stuff. We have yet to see that, but I think it's going to be the most in-depth we've ever seen it. So I would expect something pretty interesting and big, unless they have to cut back for the hardware towards the end on the amount of stuff they have to do, which hopefully they don't have to do. And of course, it's Grand Theft Auto, so there's going to be a return of strip clubs, and they were very front and center with this in the trailers. So adult entertainment venues are confirmed. And it's a good thing I'm not 12 anymore because that's what these games were all about when I was 12. But anyways, it also looks like there's going to be boat meets, which you can see in the screenshot right here. And I'm not all sure if this is like a story event or something like that, where you go to a boat meet or something like that. But we do know there's going to be some sort of marine vehicle gathering. So boom, there you go. There's boats, there's people, they're partying, they're drinking. It's like a Where's Waldo painting. Can you find Jason?
Hey, Andy, what are you doing back here in the studio?
Oh, Uncle Jeff said I could come back.
Jeff said you could come back here?
Oh, yeah, man. I thought he would have told you.
It's just you've been in here a lot, and I got to stay late for you.
Yeah, I know, man. And I'm real sorry, and I really appreciate it. It's just, this is a much cooler venue than the bedroom.
What about that ad revenue you promised me? When am I getting a cut of that?
Oh, soon, man. I mean, I haven't really made much, but
What about that NordVPN thing?
Oh, dude, no one's going to buy NordVPN on this. If someone wants NordVPN, they know they want NordVPN
So
already.
you're not even going to try to promote it?
Well, it's not that I'm not going to try to promote it, but it's like, I don't like to bog down each and every video of it. I did do an ad for NordVPN in one of the previous videos.
What about this one?
No. Well, yeah, I mean, there is a link in the description, and they can go click on it, sign up for NordVPN, and it would help us out
There
a
you
lot.
go. That's better. Start selling.
I hear you. It's kind of weird. It's kind of touchy. I don't really like
Just
doing
make
that.
sure your viewers know that they can click the link in the description and that they can watch movies in other countries and protect themselves online.
Yeah, dude, they understand.
What?
Come on, Frank, I'm sorry, man. Please let me get back to this
All right,
video.
just close up behind you. I'm out of here.
All right, thanks, Frank. God, man, some people, I love Frank. I do. I love Frank, but I don't know. It's like he's always got to stick up his butt or something. Anyways, I am so sorry, guys. Let's get back to this video. All right, now let's get into some of my favorite stuff, the highly speculated activities. These are going to be activities that have strong evidence, but a little bit less on the official confirmation front. So let's go ahead and start off with sports, recreation, that kind of thing. Let's talk about golf. So we know that there's going to be like mini golf, but there could also be, beyond mini golf, traditional golf courses, which would be really freaking cool. And honestly, I don't see why not. This map is supposed to be freaking huge, so they're definitely going to have the real estate for it. And while golfing is incredibly boring to watch, it is really fun to play. So I'm very excited to see how they implement golf into Grand Theft Auto 6. Also, I'd keep a lookout for beach football or soccer, something like that. Just some sort of beach sports. It seems like in this big shot right here with everyone on the beach that there's going to be all sorts of little activities, and it could just be stuff the NPCs do. But, you might be able to get in on some sort of beach game, like volleyball, for example. show up as shirtless Jason, play some volleyball, get a big old sunburn, the coastal life. But more activities, let's talk about water activities, like swimming competitions. There's enhanced swimming mechanics and stuff like that, so why not? Underwater exploration we've already talked about, but what about underwater explorable areas with treasure and secrets? It is Rockstar Games, they love their secrets, and Red Dead Redemption love their treasure hunts, and I think underwater exploration is a great way to add pirate treasure and funny stuff like that, so who knows? And maybe even some spearfishing. I've seen that speculated, so there could be some spearfishing as well. Next, and this one is like loosely confirmed, but we see a presence of basketball courts and stuff like that and screenshots, and I think it's pretty safe to assume we're going to see some basketball stuff in this game. Something kind of light, maybe like how it was with Big Smoke, where you could play basketball in San Andreas, stuff like that. We're going to have tennis, which is no surprise considering that we had tennis in Grand Theft Auto 5. Tennis in Vice City just works, so we're going to see tennis. Next, there appears that there's going to be drug smuggling, which, it's Grand Theft Auto 6, checks out. But you can look at this screenshot right here, this lady handing some stuff off, and it appears we're going to be smuggling drugs in this game. So I don't know how good you feel about that, but it's nothing you haven't done in a Grand Theft Auto game. But it's looking like there might be some sort of like side activity for drug smuggling, which really ties into the whole like Vice City thing. Maybe you'll be flying a plane back and forth between some location we don't know of yet. That'll be kind of small, but like representative of like South America, but not quite, kind of like how Guarma was in Red Dead Redemption 2, and maybe you're flying it back and forth, boating it back and forth. Who knows? Maybe it'll be completely up to you. Who knows how deep that'll go? So apparently there's going to be some form of drinking games in the bar scenes and a lot of social drinking kind of stuff, very similar to how you saw it in Red Dead Redemption 2. Just expect that to be a little bit more fleshed out. It seems like there's going to be amusement parks, stuff like, maybe some sort of like spin on Disney World, something like that, some sort of amusement park to go in whatever the game's version of Orlando is, or just something. Rockstar loves adding amusement parks into their games when it's doable. They did it really well in Bully with the Carnival, and I loved it. They were going to have it in Grand Theft Auto 4, and then for whatever reason decided not to, so it's closed, and that kind of sucks, but it's still there. Also, it's looking like there's going to be car meets, and not just like the Grand Theft Auto Online stuff, but an actual in-game car meetup thing. So there's probably going to be street racing, and you meet up, and you have all these fancy, awesome cars, stuff like that. I don't really know how car meets go in real life. I've seen them happening around me, but I don't really know what you do with it other than just like, hey man, here's my car, check it out. I don't know. Let's talk about bow and arrows. There's going to be hunting in this game, and we're not sure how primal we can go with it, but maybe you're going to be able to get your hands on some like compound bows, stuff like that. And with the people Jason surrounds himself with, and with him being potentially, I think he's ex-military, I would expect some form of like combat training, whether that's like tied up in the story or if it's like a side activity or a skill you can go and improve, like driving school or flying school in San Andreas. There might be some sort of combat training courses and stuff like that. Again, this is the more speculative stuff, so we'll see, but let's move on to car customization. Now, look, I know that this is almost a freaking given, but I had to put it on the highly speculated list because it is not officially confirmed. It might as well be because in the alpha footage, I remember seeing them take the dash and all of that apart, so it seems like vehicles are incredibly modular, so we'll see. But I would expect a very deep vehicle modification system. It's Grand Theft Auto. Come on, they've got to, especially after San Andreas. I think they have yet to top that. Maybe in Grand Theft Auto 5, but I don't know. That would be more like Grand Theft Auto Online. And then expect racing competitions. This is almost a given, but expect like street racing and organized events, to go along with those car meets and stuff like that. And then boat racing, and then even air races. It also seems like community service is going to be making its way into this game, so that's going to be interesting. I know the game is probably going to start out with Lucia in prison, so I'm curious to see if we're going to actually be doing community service with her, because it is shown in the trailers. Now let's get into those traditional old school Grand Theft Auto activities. I'm really hoping we see a return of taxi driving, police work with like the vigilante kind of police work stuff, not the good citizen bonus when you punch him, but when you get into the police car itself and you start hunting down bounties, I kind of hope we see that again. Another one, firefighting, and then ambulance services. So those are the big four if you've played any of the OG Grand Theft Auto games. When I say OG, I mean the OG 3D era. So I'm really hoping we see a return of those in Grand Theft Auto 6. But now it is time to get into the wild theories and extreme speculation. So you know me, and you know that I love wild theories and extreme speculation. So don't just take everything I say here with salt. Take it with the whole thing. Take it with a bunch of salt. Let's get outlandish. Let's get crazy here. We're entering clickbait territory here. But you know what? Some of this stuff could be in the game. So let's see what people have cooked up. I put this part together based on just a bunch of crazy crap I found online. So let's see. All right, let's talk about space. I just won't let it go. So I'm not going to tell you to expect space missions. If I say expect something from this point out, I don't actually mean it. I'm just talking and I'm, going through my list here. But space missions, baby. So realistically, it's going to be in some sort of form of like video game stuff like Republican Space Rangers. I don't know, maybe in Grand Theft Auto Online, but space missions, man. We're not going to Tahiti. We're going to freaking Mars. We're going to Pluto. It's going to be great. Dutch has a plan. We just got to get enough money together and get to Pluto. But yes, there's some speculation that there's going to be space missions with like astronaut suits and crap like that. I don't know. We'll see. But also like NASA facility missions. Now this is more likely in the game's made up version of NASA doing some sort of missions for them. Space light. I don't think we're going to like space unless it's like in the video games in the in-game universe or some Grand Theft Auto Line craziness. But expect, oh, there you go. I said expect, don't expect, but it's possible there's going to be some sort of NASA facility missions, or the game's version of NASA. Next is UFO encounters, and I would honestly definitely expect some weird alien UFO encounters, and I'm really curious to see what creepy Easter eggs they cook up for Grand Theft Auto 6. They went all out with Red Dead Redemption 2. We gotta give props where props are due. Red Dead Redemption 2 had some incredible Easter eggs, so I'm really curious to see how they go about doing UFOs this time around. There have been talks and speculation of like cryptocurrency heists. That doesn't sound as sexy, but I don't know. I don't even know how that stuff really works, but maybe some sort of digital currency-based criminal activities. I don't know. Let me know what you think about that, because that's something I've been seeing a lot of for some reason. Next is the gas station management. So you've heard me talk about this, like refueling vehicles and stuff like that. I had to put this on extreme speculation because it really is just kind of the sum of a bunch of parts that I came to the conclusion that there's probably going to be some sort of gas station or gas management in the game. I think this is not as wild as some of the other stuff on this list. I think we might see something like this in the game. But again, everything I'm talking about right now, lots of salt. Except for maybe the dynamic weather disasters, because I'm almost 100% certain we're going to see hurricanes, but I can't like give you an article and be like, oh, hurricanes 100% confirmed. This is a huge trust me, bro. I really believe we're going to see hurricanes, floods, natural disasters, stuff like that in the game. It seems that the game starts when we get our day in the life with Jason. When we meet the character, it seems like, he's repairing his roof after some sort of tropical storm or hurricane. This has been talked about and widely circulated. I would definitely expect there to be dynamic weather disasters in the game, but it has to fall in this category for now, unfortunately. But you know what? While we're on the crazy speculative like tinfoil hat stuff, what about like character conspiracies and character theories? Like Jason is an undercover cop with a major plot twist involving like law enforcement. And then, there's even talk of like a third protagonist, like this Raul guy who is super cool. And I mean, he looks so cool to where you're like, how could he not be the third protagonist? And honestly, after seeing the screenshots of this guy, I kind of want to just throw Jason and Lucia aside, and I just want to play as this guy. This guy looks so freaking sick. I want to play as this guy. We know that there's going to be surfing. In fact, if I didn't throw this on an activity earlier, I don't know why I didn't, there is going to be surfing. So let's take surfing real quick. Let's pick that up and let's drag that all the way over to the confirmed activities, if I didn't already mention it. But yes, it's looking like there's going to be surfing in Grand Theft Auto 6. But what about surfing with sharks? Are there going to be sharks in this game? Can I go out in the ocean and mess around with the marine life and get attacked by sharks? We know there's going to be social media influencers in the game and that they're going to have a heavy presence on how people perceive us and stuff in the world. But are we going to be able to be social media influencers ourselves? Is that going to be an activity that we can engage with? I don't know. What about real estate? Grand Theft Auto games have had some really cool real estate options, buying things up as you go. Vice City Stories had an incredible system. What are we going to see in Grand Theft Auto 6? I'm really hoping we see a lot of property ownership and like a real estate empire kind of thing, passive income. We for sure are in Grand Theft Auto Online, but that doesn't count. I'm talking single player here. Let me know if you think that's going to be in the game. I think that's pretty much a given and a little less wild, but again, I'm going off of what I have. So let me know what you think. And this last one, I'm just going to throw it on here because I think it's funny. I saw somewhere online someone was saying, hey, you could even run in politics and do like a political campaign. I think that's not going to happen, but you know what? Why not? Let's end the wild theory with like the most wild thing ever. What about you could become God or something like that? Whatever. We can just, at this point, that would be a whole nother category. Just make up whatever nonsense you want, and that's what you could do. All right, I hope you enjoyed that one. And that video was heavily inspired by Red Dead Redemption 2 because Red Dead Redemption 2 was loaded with features and activities and all sorts of stuff to do. So this next video that we're going to be looking at, I cover every single feature that's coming from Red Dead Redemption 2 into Grand Theft Auto 6. When Red Dead Redemption 2 came out, it was one of the most mind-blowing games as far as immersion goes.
Come on. Let's go blow this thing up.
I mean, everything you did in that world felt like it had a consequence, even if it really didn't. The illusion was there to create something absolutely spectacular. And even to this day, Red Dead Redemption 2 is being compared to other open world games because it set a bar that is just simply unattainable for everyone else. Red Dead Redemption 2 was a freaking masterpiece when it came to immersion and the features it offered the player. But that was 7 years ago. Can you believe it, guys? 2018. And now here we are in 2025 with Grand Theft Auto 6 on the horizon. So today, let's talk about every confirmed and speculated feature from Red Dead Redemption 2 that will be in Grand Theft Auto 6. And I'll make sure to tell you if this is like a highly speculated thing or 100% confirmed thing. Again, guys, remember, nothing is 100% confirmed until you have a controller in your hands and you are playing the game, okay? But with these things, I can talk about them with confidence and you can expect them. All right, but real quick before we get started, it is shout out time. So shout out to 2-Inch Destroyer, which incredible name, and YGB32. What am I giving them a shout out for? Well, because they asked. So if you'd like a shout out on my channel, comment and I'll shout you out in my video. And if I missed you, I'm sorry, comment again and I'll make sure and get you in the next one. So thank you 2-Inch Destroyer and YGB32. All right, back to the video. Let's talk about NPC interactions. So Red Dead Redemption 2 gave us one of the most interesting features that I think I've ever seen in a Rockstar game ever, and I absolutely love it, and every other Rockstar game feels naked without it. Except for Bully, because it had a version of this. But what am I talking about? Well, that's the greet and antagonize system. So in Red Dead Redemption 2, players could interact with every NPC using contextual greet and antagonize options, creating dynamic responses and affecting reputation.
Out of the damn way!
It was really cool being able to walk around, people would say hi to you, and you could respond back.
How are you, ladies?
I'd like to be alone with you, honey.
But you could also lock onto them and say, hey buddy, how you doing? Or you could just say something totally mean and escalate the situation. And once you started to escalate a situation, there would be a diffuse option that would pop up and you could then choose to diffuse the situation. I absolutely loved it. It was really cool and it just made me feel like I could reach out and touch the world of Red Dead Redemption 2. Well, that is coming in Grand Theft Auto 6. And that comes from multiple leaks. Leaks indicate NPCs react when you aim at them, and the greet and antagonize feature from Red Dead Redemption 2 is back, giving us more interaction options. And I mean, come on, this feels like an obvious feature to bring into Grand Theft Auto 6. How could you not? It was so cool being able to mess around with NPCs in Red Dead Redemption 2. Rockstar, they're smart. They know this. It's coming back. Now, something else that was in Red Dead Redemption 2 that most players I think really enjoyed, I've only seen some people who didn't, was the honor system. So in Red Dead Redemption 2, Arthur's actions affected his honor meter, influencing NPC reactions, shop prices, and story outcomes. Well, you could get one of two endings, and it was pretty cool.
I gave you all I had. I did.
And personally, when I started the game, I like to play as a bad Arthur and then just kind of slowly have him start to do nice things and be a better person by the end of it. You know, give him a cool character arc that really played into the themes of redemption in the game. Well, Red Dead Redemption 2. Anyways, I digress. You can expect something very similar in Grand Theft Auto 6. Now, what is that? Well, it's not quite an honor system because you're a freaking criminal. No, I'm just kidding. You're a criminal in Red Dead Redemption 2. You're an outlaw. But a relationship meter, a relationship system. Leaks indicate that Red Dead Redemption 2's honor meter has been transformed into a relationship meter that shows the strength or fragility of Jason and Lucia's relationship, and it's impacted by player choice. So this system would track the protagonist's relationship dynamics rather than traditional morality. And I think that's a good idea because the people who did criticize the honor system of Red Dead Redemption 2 disagreed with some of the decisions that the game said were immoral. And I think that's kind of interesting in a philosophical sense because I guess it's subjective, right? But there are some collective agreed upon things that I think we can say are good and bad. But anyways, I'm getting off topic here. You can expect a relationship meter, and you can expect it to change how the game ends with multiple endings. We're not talking 2 anymore. We're talking like 3, maybe even 4. And what endings do you think that's going to be? I've already talked about it in a previous video, and I already have an idea of what the endings are, but what do you think they'll be? Let's talk about combat and law enforcement. So this is probably going to be one of the biggest noticeable changes going from Grand Theft Auto 5 to Grand Theft Auto 6. So in Red Dead Redemption 2, you had a Deadeye mechanic. And now you did have this in Grand Theft Auto 5, but in Grand Theft Auto 5, it kind of felt like the Temu version of Deadeye. You know, it felt off-brand. I don't know, just something about it. It didn't feel right with Michael using the Deadeye mechanic or bullet time or whatever, but it just freaking rocked in Red Dead Redemption 2. Other than the orange tint that takes up the whole screen, I kind of wish that wasn't there. Even though it is cool, it would be nice to just slow down time. It felt punchy in Red Dead Redemption 2. It felt like it just had some serious weight and you just felt like a total badass when you were completely surrounded and would use it and just watched everybody collapse at once. It was freaking awesome. Well, there has been some leaks, and they state that Jason has Deadeye very similar to Red Dead Redemption 2. It's going to slow down time, reveal weak spots, stuff like that, if you can remember the weak spots in Red Dead Redemption 2 that were revealed to you in Deadeye. And apparently Lucia is going to have the same ability, but hers will only be limited to one shot. And that's going to kind of, reflect Jason's military background. But something that I've seen from the trailers, and this is speculation here, is I think that Lucia is going to be better at like driving fast, all that kind of stuff. And she'll have some sort of system there, kind of like how Franklin had it in Grand Theft Auto 5. But let's talk about this new witness system, and this is something I'm so excited to see. So in Red Dead Redemption 2, every now and again you'd get a little eyeball on your HUD if you were doing something naughty, and you'd have a little tattletale running off to tell on you. Well, you'd have to track them down, either just convince them to stop, or, the other option. Well, you can expect something very similar to that in Grand Theft Auto 6, except it's looking like it's going to be expanded on. So there have been leaks saying the witness system will be very similar to Red Dead Redemption 2's, except now clothing and security cameras will play a role as well. So you'll actually have to change clothes, avoid cameras, stuff like that. And I think that's going to make doing stuff just way more immersive and cool. You'll have to really plan out how you navigate the world around you. Law enforcement will be able to recognize you, catch you on the CCTV cameras like I just said, and of course you'll still have your eyewitness reports who can call the police on you or film you and put you on social media. Police will even be able to interrogate witnesses and suspects at a crime scene. So imagine you do something, you leave, and a crime scene pops up after you're gone. You can come back and kind of see, oh, what's going on here? That last one I'm a little less certain about, but it is a leak that I found. So take that with a grain of salt. Here's something I really loved about Red Dead Redemption 2 that we are going to see in Grand Theft Auto 6, and that's a limited weapon carry system. Now in Red Dead Redemption 2, it kind of flirted with the idea of it. You could carry pretty much a whole arsenal on you, but you also stored your stuff on horses, put it in trunks, stuff like that. In Grand Theft Auto 6, leaks have said that players are going to only be able to carry 2 rifles and 2 pistols at once, while other weapons are stored in the vehicle's trunk. And I hope that leak is true because I love it. I love choosing a loadout and going to do something. It is so much fun because you have to plan, and games are no fun when they're too easy. And Grand Theft Auto 5 was way too easy. And Grand Theft Auto 4 I felt like was a little bit more challenging, and even that was a little too easy for my taste. So I'm looking for more of a challenge here. I think having a limited arsenal on you, maybe taking more damage, that's the way to go. Make combat have consequences. Make it feel real. You can fight less NPCs, and that will feel more realistic if the consequences of getting shot by those NPCs are really severe, similar to how The Last of Us kind of handles it. So I'm hoping we see combat like that. But at the very least, you can expect a limited carry system in Grand Theft Auto 6, with your vehicle kind of acting as like your horse, or your central hub. You're going to want to have your car on you everywhere you go. I think it'll be very similar to like how Cyberpunk worked, where you could basically be attached to a car, and Grand Theft Auto 5 had this too, but you always had that one car. Well, imagine being able to switch that out and call that car to you whenever you needed, or at the very least being able to know where it is, very similar to your horse in Red Dead Redemption 2. And in it, you can actually store things. So your car will have more of a purpose, which is cool because in real life, our cars, we have a connection with them because we drive them. We put our personal belongings in them. We don't want them to get broken into. So having that connection with the car in Grand Theft Auto 6, especially when you're able to like trick it out and do all sorts of cool stuff to it, it's going to feel really good. And you're going to be really mad if you get in a fender bender. But let's talk about some world systems here, stuff that adds to the immersion. Dynamic weather systems. So in Red Dead Redemption 2, it had some beautiful weather. Now, it didn't last as long as I would have liked it. Like a nice, beautiful storm would roll through and then just be gone. And so, the weather was freaking awesome. So according to leaks, natural disasters like hurricanes and tornadoes are going to make an appearance in Grand Theft Auto 6. Now, we didn't have hurricanes and tornadoes in Red Dead Redemption 2. Well, that's not entirely true. We did have a hurricane or a tropical storm or something like that on the way to Guarma, but that was like a story thing in a cutscene. I'm talking, we're going to have actual storms and weather that affect the world while we're in it, playing and interacting with it. And think about the mud physics from Red Dead Redemption 2. You can expect all of those physics with the environment to be back and weather to affect it. Now, they're not exactly hiding this because you can see it in the trailer. Mud is going to be making a very big appearance in this game. It's going to be really cool. And water, so the way water interacts with the actual environment, the ground underneath your feet, it's going to play a big part in how we interact with the world. So think about roads getting slick, making car chases riskier, or fog messing with your visibility. There's going to be so many different weather scenarios, including flooding mechanics, and I am so excited to see this in Grand Theft Auto 6. Maybe you'll be able to feel humidity from the game too on your skin. I'm just kidding. But also think about how NPCs will be reacting to the weather systems in this game. So if there's a hurricane, you're going to see them preparing for it, stuff like that, maybe boarding up locations. The possibilities are really endless here. If a hurricane's coming through, you might hear about it on the radio or something like that. And, the trailers start off with Jason literally fixing the roof of his place. So I think that there might be some sort of repair mechanic or something like that after a storm rolls through. Maybe that's just a story bit right there, but at the very least, expect some crazy weather. Rockstar knows we love it. It's coming. Let's talk about gore and dismemberment. So in Red Dead Redemption 2, it had kind of like a Django Unchained thing going on with like the shooting. There'd be big bloody gushes, and it was just absolutely insane. I absolutely love the gore and dismemberment in Red Dead Redemption 2, and there's all sorts of mods out there and stuff like that that make it feel even more realistic because we're all a bunch of sick freaks. But you can expect something like that in Grand Theft Auto 6. Now, maybe not as intense as Red Dead Redemption 2 because, Grand Theft Auto 6 takes place in the modern world. And unfortunately, well, if you've been paying attention to the news, you know that there's a very widespread thing going on in the United States, and Rockstar might not want to, get mixed up with that. I don't know. Maybe not. I don't know. There's a difference between being the bad boy like Rockstar's always been and being tasteless. We'll see what they do. Personally, I think we're all adults and we could take Red Dead Redemption 2's gore and dismemberment and put it in Grand Theft Auto 6 and everyone would be just fine. But we'll see what happens. I hope it is as detailed as Red Dead Redemption 2's. It's going to be more detailed though than it's ever been in a Grand Theft Auto game before. Another thing from Red Dead Redemption 2 that's coming in Grand Theft Auto 6 is a chapter-based story structure. So in Red Dead Redemption 2, the story was divided into distinct chapters with clear progression. According to leaks, again, all of this comes from leaks because I don't have the game, but according to leaks, the game is going to be split into chapters just like Red Dead Redemption 2, with 5 total chapters, apparently. Again, take this with salt. And apparently all of the alpha footage that we saw that was leaked were seen between chapters 1 through 3, which makes sense. So imagine as you move into a new chapter, stuff like that, time's going to progress, and it kind of makes sense if they're doing like a Bonnie and Clyde on the run story. You're gonna have locations physically change around you with time as things are built. And that was another system that was in Red Dead Redemption 2 that you can expect to see in Grand Theft Auto 6, and that's buildings actually physically be built over time. And that system really depended on the chapter system, so you could definitely expect to see that. But what about wildlife and environmental features? Well, there's the hunting system, right? It's pretty obvious based off the trailers there's going to be hunting in Grand Theft Auto 6. There was hunting in Grand Theft Auto 5. Now, it was pretty lackluster, and that's for 3 reasons. One, the animals, they weren't as smart as they were in Red Dead Redemption 2, and really even Red Dead Redemption 1. Another thing is the shooting was really basic in Grand Theft Auto 5. It was like laser pinpoint accuracy. There was nothing fun about it. It was just point and click, and that's not fun because challenges are fun. Removing the challenge makes things kind of meaningless. Oh man, there's a lot you could unpack about life from that. But anyways, moving on. The third thing is the lack of foliage. The original Grand Theft Auto 5, it was like walking on the moon in some places because we just didn't have the hardware at the time to run a bunch of foliage everywhere. Now, even to this day, after all of the remakes and remasters and all that stuff, Grand Theft Auto 5 still feels a little naked when you go out in the wilderness. It's just how the game was designed. But in Grand Theft Auto 6, you can expect dense foliage like Red Dead Redemption 2. I mean, you could see it in the trailers and fur systems, all that kind of stuff. I think we're going to see some really cool, elaborate hunting stuff in Grand Theft Auto 6. And according to leaks, that's absolutely the case. We're going to see a hunting feature very similar to Red Dead Redemption 2's, it possibly even expanded on, and more in line with maybe some traps, tips, and tricks and stuff like that that modern hunters would use. Creature design and animal models are going to be next level, next gen, absolutely incredible. And yes, that does include tracking, skinning, and even trading. But again, that is more speculative than pretty much everything else I've talked about, the last 3 things I said there. That and the weather. But it's looking very likely, and that's why it made the list. Let's talk about the artificial intelligence and physics a little bit though. So Grand Theft Auto 6 is going to have realistic NPCs with like realistic schedules, stuff like that, working jobs, building houses, maintaining relationships even. And I'm sure you can remember the videos that came out around the time of Red Dead Redemption 2's release of people following NPCs around, seeing what they were doing, looking at their routines, all that kind of stuff. Well, you can expect that to be back, except amped up to the next level. So pattern analysis, as I've discussed in a previous video, shows that Rockstar has developed, and I hate saying this word, hierarchical course graph navigation and real-time decision-making neural networks. So basically, NPCs can now make contextual driving decisions based on environmental data. Well, you've heard me talk about that. And Grand Theft Auto 6's NPC AI is looking way smarter than ever. Shopkeepers react differently depending on how you approach them, all that kind of stuff. You can expect like dynamic robberies, all that kind of stuff. It's going to be insane, the level of immersion that we're going to have with interactions interactions with the NPCs. Yes, it will be very similar to Red Dead Redemption 2, just better. And that is the only thing on here that I could pretty much say is 100% confirmed. Also, the enhanced Euphoria physics, because in Red Dead Redemption 2, the physics were absolutely outstanding. I think Grand Theft Auto 4 had the best. It was a little janky sometimes, but Red Dead Redemption 2s were absolutely incredible as well. And I think Red Dead Redemption 2 with the live leak mod on PC makes them the absolute best physics in any Rockstar game ever. Well, in Grand Theft Auto 6, multiple sources have confirmed Euphoria's return with enhancements. If you were to look at the alpha footage from 2022, you could see the physics system. It was, they're still working on it. It was in the alpha state, and they were still using the old assets from Grand Theft Auto 5 to actually just run the game and interact with the world. But it was pretty cool. And yes, Euphoria physics are making a return. So the leaks have said that you can pretty much expect more realistic character reactions and interactions. So I'm really excited to go around and just start bumping into NPCs. And I'm sure you are too. It's going to be really cool. That is pretty much also 100% confirmed. But again, I can't really see that. Let's say 99% confirmed. Does that work better for you? 99% confirmed with Sol. Oh guys, also real quick, I wanted to tell you about the Grand Theft Auto 6 Roundtable. So if you're hyped for Grand Theft Auto 6 as much as me and you just can't get enough of it, the GTA 6 Roundtable has you covered. It's some of the best YouTube creators currently covering Grand Theft Auto 6 getting together and talking about the game, speculating, and sharing information. It's really cool and I think you would enjoy it. Recently I was invited to do the last one, so it was me, Bogan Bav, GTA Infinity, and Fishy with Sav hosting it. So if you want to check this bad boy out, you can go over to Sav's channel. The first episode is already out and you can subscribe to him, hit that notification bell, or you can just keep a lookout at my community post because I'll let you know when this next episode's out. So anyways, guys, there you have it. Those are features that are confirmed or pretty much nearly confirmed to come from Red Dead Redemption 2 and be put into Grand Theft Auto 6. Are there any features from Red Dead Redemption 2 that I didn't mention that you would like to see in Grand Theft Auto 6? Oh, also fishing and boats. I have no idea how I did not include that. There's going to be fishing in Grand Theft Auto 6. Sorry. All right, if you're a Red Dead Redemption 2 fan, I hope that got you pumped for the game. Well, for Grand Theft Auto 6, I'm super pumped for it, and I'm really curious to see what they actually add in from the game. But I'm also a huge Grand Theft Auto 4 fan, and maybe you are too. And there's a bunch of crazy speculation about Niko potentially being in Grand Theft Auto 6 because of some stuff the voice actor was doing. So let's go ahead and talk about that for a little bit. Check this out. Will Michael Hollick, Niko Bellic from Grand Theft Auto 4 be returning in Grand Theft Auto 6? Now look, a lot of you are going, no, why would he? Absolutely not. What are you talking about? Well, the answer might surprise you. Well, sorta. You'll see what I mean in a little bit. Now, why am I even making this video? Well, I'm making this video because I've gotten multiple comments now asking me to. Also, I'm not gonna lie, I'm really freaking tired after the last video. I mean, it took it out of me. I put my heart and soul into this massive video covering AI and the future of video games. And I wanted something for a Friday release. And you know what? This was on the list. So I'm covering it. That's what I'm doing. But don't think I got lazy. I did do my due diligence on this. So I'm going to answer to the best of my abilities. I'm going to give you a concrete answer by the end of this video if Niko is going to be in Grand Theft Auto 6. And at the very least, the value you're going to get out of this, if there's any value at all, is understanding why people think he's going to be in Grand Theft Auto 6. So since it's my goal to cover pretty much everything regarding Grand Theft Auto 6, I can't leave this one on the table. So let's do it. Real quick, before I forget, shout out to Wahib El Komri. And I'm so sorry. I'm having trouble pronouncing this, but dude, shout out to you. He asked for a shout out. If you want shout outs on the channel, ask for him and I will edit you into the video. Anyways, big shout out, homie. Hope you're doing all right. So will Niko Bellic be returning in Grand Theft Auto 6? Let me just tell you, there is officially no confirmation that he will appear in Grand Theft Auto 6. And now look, I went deep, guys. I went deep. I went through everything I possibly could to try and find just a crumb, a speck of information that confirms that he would be in Grand Theft Auto 6. But the only breadcrumbs that we do have lead to nothing more than speculation. I'm just going to be totally honest with you about that. So why do people think this? Well, it's because of Michael Hollick's recent activity. See, now we're getting a little spicy, but not too spicy because the most significant development really came recently, back in July, when Michael Hollick, the voice actor of Niko, he made a surprising return to social media after 17 years of absence. 17 years. Some of you watching this are 17 years old, maybe even younger. Oh my gosh, you guys are making me feel old, but whatever. So anyways, he joined Cameo, and he stated, when he joined, I avoided social media for a long time, but you fans are relentless. So here I am. So people kind of took this as a sign, some people, of, him returning as Niko Bellic in Grand Theft Auto 6. Like, well, why else would he get on Cameo and start engaging with us unless he was going to be on Grand Theft Auto 6? That's not how it works. You want my 2 cents? I think the reason he's choosing to now is because really, and I mean this in the most polite way possible, I think Niko Bellic was the biggest thing in his career, at least in the United States. Now, I don't know that for certain, but that's all I know him in. But also, social media is a thing. I imagine he's starting to see how the voice actors from Grand Theft Auto 5, with the exception of Stephen Ogg, and Red Dead Redemption, how they've been going about engaging with the community and, the opportunities it's opened up for them and stuff like that. So I think that is the reason he is choosing to get back on now of all times. Also, it's been a very long time now since Rockstar's burned him. It wasn't even really Rockstar. We'll talk about that in a minute. But anyways, he got on Cameo. People start speculating. So that's one of the reasons why people think that Michael Hollick is returning as Niko in Grand Theft Auto 6. Hollick is also expanding his public presence, though, beyond Cameo. As reported in September of 2025, Michael Hollick will be joining Ned Luke at Comic-Con Saratoga 2025, marking his first appearance at such events alongside other Grand Theft Auto voice actors. And that's really freaking cool because I love Niko Bellic. I won him in Grand Theft Auto 6. I loved Michael Hollick's work. And at the very least, I think it's going to be really cool for him to engage with the fans and for people to, maybe he'll give him some famous quotes or something from the game series. Who knows?
How about we go bowling?
Niko, this is a great American activity. We bowl together. You pick me up in next hour.
I see you soon then, Roman.
But anyways, people see that also leading to the fact like, oh, well, he's trying to get a buzz going. He's going to be in Grand Theft Auto 6. Now, look, I'm not saying he's not. He could be. I'm just saying there's no concrete evidence. I mean, back when Grand Theft Auto 5 came out, there was a lot of speculation about him returning. He popped up in a Life Invader account, which was really cool. I think it was literally just copy-paste from Grand Theft Auto 4, except it had some epilogue kind of stuff, and we could see that. He did, in fact, end up with Roman running the taxi business still after the events of Grand Theft Auto 4. So maybe they did get that happy ending, and it's canon that Roman lived, which is really cool. But I digress. We didn't see Niko in Grand Theft Auto 5, and that was because of a payment controversy. Now, this happened a very long time ago now, and I don't think it's going to affect whether he comes back now or not. But let's talk about that payment controversy. And most of you already know this, so I'm just going to look at it very briefly. So if we want to understand Michael Hollick's relationship with Rockstar Games, we got to look at the 2008 payment controversy. According to a New York Times article from May of 2008, Hollick was paid roughly $100,000 over 15 months for his voice acting and motion capture work on Grand Theft Auto 4. Now, some of you might be like, wow, Niko Bellic was only paid $100,000 over 15 months, like only $100K. But look, to contextualize this, we got to look at it. Hollick said that he was actually paid about 50% more than the standard rate, roughly $1,050 a day. And that's a lot of money for a day rate. But the game's commercial success made this payment controversial. According to Take-Two Interactive's official announcement, Grand Theft Auto 4 earned $310 million in its first day and $500 million in its first week. Now, I know Grand Theft Auto 5 trumps that, but back then these were some serious numbers. Despite the financial disparity, Hollick has consistently stated he does not blame Rockstar. To some of you who know about this controversy, you might think, oh, he doesn't like Rockstar, Rockstar burned him. It's not quite that Rockstar burned him, because there was a middleman. In a New York Times interview, Hollick said, obviously, I'm incredibly thankful to Rockstar for the opportunity to be in this game when I was just a nobody, an unknown quantity. But it's tough when you see Grand Theft Auto 4 out there is the biggest thing going right now, when they're making hundreds of millions of dollars and we don't see any of it. I don't blame Rockstar. I blame our union for not having the agreements in place to protect the creative people who drive the sales of these games. Now, I'm sure he was a little bit upset at Rockstar about all of this, but if you're talking publicly, you have to be like, oh, I don't blame Rockstar. I blame the unions that don't work hard enough, that kind of thing. But whatever, because I don't think he wanted to burn any bridges with the biggest video game company in the world. I think he wanted to leave that door open. Not like Stephen Ogg, who's very much against the idea of being Trevor in Grand Theft Auto 5, it seems. I don't know. It's like, dude, get over yourself. I don't know. He's acting like Kurt Cobain, hating his fans for liking his stuff. And to some extent, I get it, because that's not what you want to be known for. But you know what? If you have a roof over your head, if you got meals, you got a place to sleep, you got people who love you, you're doing all right. Chill out, man. Sorry, I'm getting preachy. But let's talk about, Rockstar and Hollick potentially reconciling. So whether or not they've, quote unquote, mended their relationship, there's not really any direct evidence of, some sort of formal reconciliation. And I don't think Rockstar would ever play it like that. However, Ned Luke, voice actor for Michael DeSanta, I'm sure a lot of you guys have watched his stuff, he's reached out to Hollick. During a May 2025 interview, when asked about Hollick, Luke stated, I don't know him. I've never met Michael. I wouldn't mind reaching out to him. I'd like to get him to a Comic-Con or two. And I think, it's kind of funny, the idea of Michael reaching out to Michael. But anyways, I found a Reddit post from September of 2025, and it was talking about how Ned Luke, Michael's voice actor, that's the one who reached out to him. They're all going to be together at an event, and even CJ's voice actor was going to be there. Now, there is no confirmed information information about whether Rockstar Games has directly contacted or compensated Hollick beyond the original payment. And if they did, it would be under the table. Now, I seriously doubt it because I'm sure you know how they did it with Ray Liotta in Vice City. If you don't know about that, that's a whole nother thing. But basically, if Rockstar is not going to fold for Ray Liotta, I mean, Goodfellas and everything else he's done, you know, but Goodfellas, if they're not going to fold for him, they're not going to fold for anybody. And they've always kind of treated their voice actors the way they do, but that's a whole nother story. That's an entirely different thing. And I'm sure there's millions of videos on YouTube about that exact topic. All right, so let's talk about these leaks and rumors of Niko being in Grand Theft Auto 6. So all claims about Niko Bellic appearing in Grand Theft Auto 6 are, let's just be honest here, unverified speculation. Back in February of 2024, there was a rumor claiming that he could return for a cameo. However, with no named source behind this alleged leak, it is hard to judge how reliable it is. And there you go. There's no evidence, there's no concrete proof, none of that. And there's been social media posts and stuff online, you know, people claiming to be leakers and stuff like that, or just people spreading misinformation. But I don't know if this is that, but there's been stuff said like, according to leaks from an inside source, Niko Bellic is returning in Grand Theft Auto 6 for a brief cameo. And that is what's been stirring up all of this kind of stuff. People just saying stuff online and kind of getting circulated, which, you know, I get it. Even this video, it's a little clickbaity, not gonna lie. I mean, it's not the most clickbaity thing I've done, but you know, I get it. Well, maybe I don't. I don't understand really just saying nonsense online just on a random post. I don't know. Maybe there is some truth to this, but I'm trying really hard now to put everything under a microscope to make sure that I can filter out all the noise and give you guys what's real and what's not. So let's revisit Grand Theft Auto 5 real quick. Remember, Niko didn't physically appear in Grand Theft Auto 5 because of that controversy. I'm sure he would have if it wasn't for the whole payment thing, whatever, with him and Rockstar. Or maybe still he wouldn't have, but who knows. His existence, though, is of course acknowledged through references. I mean, even Michelle, or whatever her real name is, she's in Grand Theft Auto 5. And during story missions, Lester, he said something like, oh, there was an Eastern European guy making moves in Liberty City, but he went quiet. You know, I remember that line and I thought that was really cool. And then also, like I said earlier, Niko has a life invader in Grand Theft Auto 5's universe, which is like their version of Facebook, if you're not familiar for some reason, which I'd be surprised because you're watching this. If you were to view his profile on Jimmy DeSanta's laptop, it shows that Niko is now living in Broker and is working for his cousin Roman's taxi service. So like I told you, it's now canon that they did have kind of a happy ending. And that's really cool. And it kind of leaves it open-ended for, you know, us to see him again. It's not like they did what they did to Johnny to Niko. Can you imagine? Oh my gosh, if that was Niko instead of Johnny, oh, the backlash would have been insane. I would have just burned the game then and there. I mean, when Trevor did kill Johnny, that pretty much took me out of the game almost entirely, but Niko, man, nah. And that's cool. So there's some little lore stuff with Grand Theft Auto 5, but again, nothing that says, hey, Michael Hollick, Niko, he's in Grand Theft Auto 6. So why not? Well, in Grand Theft Auto 5's case, it was everything that happened between Michael Hollick and Rockstar and, you know, him feeling like he wasn't paid fairly. And that took any possibility of a cameo of him out of Grand Theft Auto 5. And it's been so long now that I think Rockstar has maybe even moved away from the idea of doing something like that. Now, if you watched my previous video about AI and video games and how it's going to affect the future, there's a part where I talked about voice actors. They come in, they record a few lines, and then basically they sell away their digital likeness, and people can then just use their voices however they want using AI and put characters and stuff in games. And I have seen people speculate that maybe they'll do some sort of AI Niko and stuff like that. But let's be real here, that's probably not going to happen. And there's two reasons for that. One, I don't think Rockstar would do that just because on principle, like an AI voice actor, I really don't think Rockstar would do that. Two, whatever contract Michael Hollick signed or whatever happened back in like 2008, even before that, like 2006. So yeah, I'm sure there wasn't some AI digital likeness clause or anything like that back then. Now, there could have been something like, you know, if we discover some sort of technology, you know, some sort of legalese to be like, we basically own your voice, you know, but I don't think so. If we do get a cameo in Grand Theft Auto 6, I don't think it's going to be Niko, unfortunately. I would love for him to be in there, okay? He is my favorite Grand Theft Auto 4 character. Well, protagonist. I don't think we're gonna see him. I think if we do see a cameo, it might be Trevor, you know, and maybe we'll see him getting beat brutally or something like that. That's if he didn't kill him at the end of Grand Theft Auto 5. But I think it'd be really funny if they brought him into Grand Theft Auto 6 and he's in Johnny's shoes, especially after all the crap Stephen Ogg talks about, you know, Trevor and trying to distance himself from it. I think it'd be funny, but that's just me. And if Niko was in Grand Theft Auto 6, I mean, think of all the time that's passed. Apparently he was only 30. Okay, whatever. The guy went through a lot of trauma and strife and stuff, so I guess it's plausible. But he would be 47 in Grand Theft Auto 6, which I think would be cool. So just to recap, the reason you're hearing these rumors about Niko potentially returning in Grand Theft Auto 6 is literally just because the dude's coming back on Cameo. He's going to show up at Comic-Con Saratoga, and because of a rumor. That's it. Those are the three things we have to go off of if Niko Bellic will be returning to Grand Theft Auto 6. And I did promise you a concrete answer, so here it is. Maybe. No, I'm just kidding. No, you heard me say it earlier. No, he's not going to be in Grand Theft Auto 6. I put money on him not being in Grand Theft Auto 6, but at the same time, I don't know. Anything could happen. All right. So that basically was a definitive answer on if Niko will be in Grand Theft Auto 6 or not. I hope I didn't bum you out or something. But anyways, let's move on to just absolutely crazy speculation. We're going to take a break from all of the facts and stuff like that. We'll come back to it. We will. But let's do a little short detour into potentially going to outer space in Grand Theft Auto 6. I know it sounds crazy, but just check this out. What if I told you that Grand Theft Auto 6 might literally take the player to outer space? I'm not talking about some crazy mod or fan theory. Well, you'll see. But there's actually evidence that's buried in the leaked code that suggests Rockstar is planning something absolutely wild for this game. So look, the leaked files don't lie. Data miners have been digging through Grand Theft Auto 6's files, and what they found is absolutely insane. We're talking about references, keywords like low gravity, astronaut suit, space station, shuttle, orbit, and space landscape. So this isn't just some random code. I mean, code doesn't just exist randomly in games. It's there for a reason. So this is something that Rockstar is putting in their game. Now, in what way? Well, more on that in a minute. But I just want to lay it home that this is a $2 billion game, the most expensive piece of media ever created. So I don't think it's a reach already, just based off that alone, to think that we might see some space elements. And I know that sounds ridiculous, especially because Grand Theft Auto 6 appears to be a relatively grounded game. But here's where it gets really interesting. Rockstar has been hiring some seriously specialized people. We're talking gravity experts, physics specialists, and people who work on anatomical motion and altered environments. Why would you need that for a crime game set in Florida? Unless it's not just set in Florida. Now, we know Rockstar is all about being really quiet and tight-lipped right up until release and then just dropping an absolute nuclear warhead on us with something crazy. Now, I'm not saying that this is going to be the next Starfield or next space exploration game, but I do think that we are going to see space in some sort of capacity in this game. So the leaks mention SERA, S-E-R-A, that stands for Space Exploration Research Agency. Basically, it's their version of NASA. So this makes perfect sense when you remember that Grand Theft Auto 6 is set in Florida, or Leonida, their version of Florida. And what's Florida famous for? The Kennedy Space Center. Mapping projects for the game actually shows a Space Center location that looks NASA inspired. So long gone are the days of running to the airport and trying to steal a plane. Now we might see players running into space stations and taking off in rockets. But also there's something in this universe that I think would make sense for space travel. Remember, Republican Space Rangers is a funny TV program that you've seen in the games. What if they take these Republican Space Rangers and make them playable? The leaked space files could be tied to an expanded, interactive version of Republican Space Rangers. So Jason might be able to sit down in his apartment. I mean, we've seen shots of him playing video games on what looks to be a PS5, and maybe he's playing the Republican Space Rangers game. I wouldn't be surprised if there was a game within a game with how big Grand Theft Auto 6 is going to be, so there might be a full-fledged, thought-out Republican Space Rangers game to enjoy in this game, which would make for a nice break from, all of the heavyweight, serious crime drama going on around us. Now you can take part in these absurd, ridiculous space missions, put yourself in the satire, instead of just watching them on the in-game TV. And that sounds very much like the Rockstar we know. Because usually with game companies, if it sounds too good to be true, it is. With Rockstar, if it sounds too good to be true, it's gonna happen, at least most of the time. So what could this actually look like in-game? There are a few theories floating around. We could get a single wild side mission, maybe drug-induced, maybe not, where you are actually launched into orbit or experience low gravity at a defunct space center in Leonida. Just something crazy like that, a one-off. And I think that would be the perfect opportunity for Rockstar to satirize the current state of America's space program. Or maybe it's bigger than that. What if there's an entire criminal conspiracy storyline involving like a space agency? Think about it. I mean, it's Grand Theft Auto. Of course, there's going to be corruption and crime at even the highest levels. Now, I know that sounds insane, but again, everything we've been shown about the game, I'm telling you, they're hiding something. We have not seen all there is to see in this game. So why does this crackpot theory make sense? Well, look, the main story of Grand Theft Auto 6 is probably going to stay grounded in reality, like I said earlier. But Rockstar has always pushed boundaries with their side content. They've given us everything from alien encounters to time travel references. So space missions, that's just the next logical step. Plus, with all the technical expertise that they've been hiring and the space-related code that was uncovered, something is definitely happening in the game that involves outer space to some extent. Whether it's a full storyline or just an elaborate mini-game or something in between, we have yet to see that. But no matter what it is, we're in for something special. But that also brings me to this next point. What about Grand Theft Auto Auto 6 Online. So Grand Theft Auto 5 Online, it's crazy, it's wild, it's totally out of touch with how grounded the core game feels. I mean, Grand Theft Auto 5 doesn't really feel grounded, but I mean, you're not flying around on motorcycles that can shoot missiles in Grand Theft Auto 5 story mode. In Grand Theft Auto Online, I mean, you have freaking submarines, there's hover bikes that shoot missiles. I mean, it's absolutely absurd. So where I realistically see this being is, I think in Grand Theft Auto Online, the new iteration of it, I think we're probably going to eventually see something absolutely stupid and crazy like space missions in some sort of crime capacity, where players who like to fly around on bikes could now shoot each other in space with laser guns. I'm not kidding. I do think we're going to see something that ridiculous with Grand Theft Auto 6 Online, but I hope it just stays in Grand Theft Auto 6 Online and doesn't come to the main story, because I really do prefer a much more grounded experience like Grand Theft Auto 4. So, of course, nothing's officially confirmed yet, but when you connect all these dots, the leak files, the specialized hirings, and, you know, its Florida setting with its real-world space connections, and Rockstar's history for exploring their locations and doing their due diligence to present the culture of the places that they're exploring and the customs, and then parody them, I think it's pretty clear that Grand Theft Auto 6 is going to take us to places we've never been before. Literally. So I'm super hyped to learn more about this. I'm not saying there's going to be like spaceship customization and we're going to be going around, flying around in space and stuff like that, but there is going to be some sort of space element. What do you think that's going to be? All right, so coming out of that one, you're like, wow, this guy is crazy. But I'll tell you what, that was one of the first Grand Theft Auto 6 videos I did. But the first Grand Theft Auto 6 video I did is actually this next one, and what kicked everything off. And in my opinion, Grand Theft Auto 6 should take its time. What do you think? Well, let me know after watching this. Grand Theft Auto 6 should slow it down. Now, I've seen a lot of people online and they're like, you know what? I don't want to see Grand Theft Auto 6 have the same speed or whatever as Red Dead Redemption 2, where we got to slow it down to pick up a can of beans, or man, it feels like I'm controlling a tank walking around. I disagree with them completely. I think Red Dead Redemption 2 hit it right on the mark with at least how I enjoy experiencing those worlds. And I think it kind of was influenced by Grand Theft Auto 4, which to this day, in my opinion, is the best Grand Theft Auto. And I'm not saying that as some zoomer who came in at Grand Theft Auto 5 and that's the game I've grown up with. I started with the very first Grand Theft Auto and have played every single one as they've been released. And each one, in my opinion, was better than the previous. Grand Theft Auto 2 was better than 1. I know that's controversial for some people. I even enjoyed London. And of course, when Grand Theft Auto 3 came out, I was absolutely blown away that we could now experience this world in a 3D universe. And then Vice City. And now our protagonist is voiced, and it's freaking Ray Liotta. And you have this amazing Miami drug story. It was absolutely awesome. And then, of course, San Andreas. Oh my God, that blew me away back in the day. And still to this day, I want to see some of those smaller kind of RPG elements coming back. The ability to gain weight and lose it. If you played it, you know. But then Grand Theft Auto 4. Oh man, I remember being so hyped for this, watching all of the trailers and everything. They even had like a cop recruitment video that they put out. I remember that was funny.
My name is Brian O'Toole. I wanted to fight the war on terror, but I don't read so good. Most careers were closed to me. That's why I joined the LCPD.
They had that funny ad of banging on trash can lids for an hour.
It's the new performance rhythm sensation, banging trash can lids for an hour. Critics say it's astonishing. Astonishing what people from out of town will pay to see. It's a story told by men and women fighting with brooms, tap dancing with sanitation materials, and a lot of heart. Hear them make music out of trash can lids.
They had a whole website. It was awesome. I was so excited. The very first thing that actually caught my attention about Grand Theft Auto 4 was seeing the fact that bullet holes could now show up on cars and that you could crack windows. That had me sold, just that alone. And then the Euphoria physics. Oh my gosh. I remember just going down the rabbit hole, learning everything I could, watching the Euphoria physics showcase video back in 2007, 2008. And then when I finally got my hands on this game, the first thing I did was hop in a car and just start bumping into people to play with the physics. But then I played the game and I realized it was so much different from other Grand Theft Auto games. One of the earliest missions has you throwing a brick through a window and you're slowly getting sucked into this world of crime, and it was immersive. I felt for Niko. I was so attached to that character, and the driving was top notch. I loved it. People say it's like a boat on wheels, but it's like, dude, try and do some of the driving you do in Grand Theft Auto 5 and you're gonna see that stuff's impossible in real life. life, or at the very least, you're going to get yourself in a horrible accident. And Grand Theft Auto 4's driving isn't hard. It's actually pretty dang easy to get down if you take into the account the weight of the car that you are driving. Every car handled differently, and it was amazing. The shooting was amazing. I remember there's these blood spurts that would pop out of people when you would shoot, the way they would fall. The physics were top notch and like nothing we'd ever seen before in video games. The story was dark and depressing, but also had this great sense of humor. It felt very real. And the crime world was dark and gritty, and they had this post-processing on the screen that, like a movie would have. It was color graded. So the way they had presented this world was a very dark and bleak experience, and I loved it. And I could not wait when Grand Theft Auto 5 was announced. I remember I printed out an entire PDF, all of the pages of everything we knew about Grand Theft Auto 5 that I found online. It was like 20 or 30 pages. I would take that with me everywhere, and I would just read through it, look at all of the cool features that were going to be in the game, and I was so excited. It looked like it was based heavily off the movie Heat, so I watched that a million times. But then the game came out, and I was devastated by how freaking boring it was. I hate Grand Theft Auto 5. I do. I've tried so hard to love it. I've tried to play it over and over and over again. And the characters suck. Everything's so nihilistic and it's about making money. I don't care about anyone. Trevor killed Johnny. That was it for me, man. And then I was like, you know what? Let's try the gameplay. But the shooting was boring. Like everything is like laser accurate, pinpoint accuracy. The physics felt dumbed down. I hated how the screen flashed when you killed something. I didn't like the hit markers. I didn't like how the police would just throw 100 people at you. The cars exploded too fast. Everything became over the top very quickly. And in doing that, it lost what Grand Theft Auto 4 had, which is kind of that steady ramp up to just absolute chaos. And then on top of that, that unpredictability in what's going to be happening in an event, like in a shootout or a chase, because the physics were dumbed down to work on the Xbox 360. And the story was just, from what I played, not very good. I know how it ends. I've had it spoiled for me, yada yada. It's been years. It's been over a decade. And that's another thing. It's been 12 years now, and 12 years of me waiting for the next Grand Theft Auto, because I was just like, you know what, this one isn't for me. But man, they sure made all of us wait on that next one, milking Grand Theft Auto Online. And I've played Grand Theft Auto Online, and honestly, I think that's where the real experience of the game is at. And that kind of sucks, because if you love Grand Theft Auto 4 as much as I do, man, you know that's what we want. We want more of that. And Red Dead Redemption, when that came out, oh man. So, after Grand Theft Auto 4 and Red Dead Redemption, I thought for sure 5 was going to knock it out of the park, and it didn't. But Rockstar saved me in 2018 with Red Dead Redemption 2. And that absolutely blew me away in every single way possible, from the physics to the way the guns handle to the way that you interact with the world. Being able to walk around in first person just right off the bat, and all the different customization options to fine-tune the way that you control your character. Yes, it's true, Arthur does handle like a boat at first, but if you mess around with the settings, you'll find that things get much snappier. I loved the fishing, I loved hanging out with friends, and that was in Grand Theft Auto 4 too. I miss that. People say they didn't like that. I loved it. I loved living in that world. It's one thing to go on a mission and do all this shooting and killing and, robbing and stuff and see the crime and all that, but violence without context is just boring. So if the player is put in a world that they can live in, when those violent, terrible things happen, they feel like they have real weight. And also, just in Grand Theft Auto 5, like one of the first missions is like you're in a hood shootout and you're shooting like 100 people. Oh, I hated it. And look, I know that's not very popular. I know a lot of people love Grand Theft Auto 5. I don't. But I think Grand Theft Auto 6 should basically just be the baby of Red Dead Redemption 2 and Grand Theft Auto 4. I think those are the two strongest games that Rockstar has ever made. Yeah, I know there's a lot of love for San Andreas. Look, it blew us all out of the water when it came out, and there's still some things in San Andreas that they should bring back, such as the ability to work out, learning different fighting styles, going to different cities, just having that whole adventure. But Red Dead Redemption 2 kind of brought something to Rockstar games that we hadn't seen before, with their strangers and random events and things that you might not see in 1,000 hours of playing the game, but your buddy saw. And that is what Skyrim had, the ability to discover things if you go off out on your own. It's kind of interesting because as Bethesda has kind of continued to decline, I feel like Rockstar Games has just been on top of it with Red Dead Redemption 2. You don't need Skyrim anymore. You have Red Dead Redemption 2. You can go out and get the same adventure out of it. Now, sure, you can't create your character down to what their fingernails look like and their name and everything. You are Arthur Morgan and then John Marston in the game, but that makes the narrative weight heavier because these are fully realized, fleshed out characters. So with this next game, I hope they don't don't Gen Z the shit out of it. Just an endless onslaught of stimuli like Grand Theft Auto 5 was. I don't want that. I want something like Red Dead Redemption 2 and Grand Theft Auto 4. You know, I saw some stuff online about how you're gonna have to keep your weapons in a trunk. I love the idea of having a primary and a secondary, and you can only take those with you. You don't have a whole weapon wheel. I'd love the idea of like maybe a hardcore mode. You're not able to take but 1 or 2 shots. Maybe even a survival mode, like in Red Dead Redemption, how they kind of did it with the core stuff. Like you need to eat and bathe and all of that. Live in the world so that when you go out and you do all of the things you're doing, you feel fresh and ready. And not only that, but those small mundane things that you do in Red Dead Redemption 2 allow you to live in the world and look around at what's going on around you. And it is true. After playing Red Dead Redemption 2, I went back to 1. And yeah, there was a bit of an arcadey mix to it that I liked. 1 was faster, snappier, more straightforward, just more self-contained. Where Red Dead Redemption 1 feels like an epic movie, Red Dead Redemption 2 feels like an epic TV series, like some sort of HBO show or something. But Grand Theft Auto 6, given that it's taken all of this time and resources to make, I think it should be a lot like Red Dead Redemption 2 in that big epic HBO-style TV show way. Slow it down, let us live in that world. This isn't something you're gonna wanna watch and scroll through like a freaking TikTok video. This is something you're going to want to immerse yourself in and enjoy. Because I'll tell you what, after Grand Theft Auto 6, we're not getting something like this for a very, very, very long time. Some of us might be in our 40s or 50s the next time we see something like that. So yes, I think they should slow it down. I want Jason to take his time and hang out with, what's her name, Louisa? I want there to be a lot of gameplay around taking it slow, getting to know these two characters, especially because it looks like it's going to be a Romeo and Juliet style story. And the map is going to be huge. There's going to be different locations. Rockstar has always wanted to go really big, and then they always have to dial it back for the hardware. But I think this time we're going to see something absolutely insane. So people say they take 200 or 300 hours to absolutely do everything in Red Dead Redemption 2, and then they still haven't seen everything. I want this game personally to be a 500 to 700 hour game, maybe even longer. And I think that that is what it's going to be, guys. I think that's what they're going to deliver. I don't think it's going to be the nonsense we got with Grand Theft Auto 5. I think it is going to be a lot more like Grand Theft Auto 4 and Red Dead Redemption 2, and man, I sure hope so. So that is my rant. I didn't really come at this with like a list of bullet points or anything to go down. It's just, this is something I've been thinking about. I do think this game should be slow to be immersive. So there you have it. Those were my opinions and all that on basically the game being kind of slowed down, kind of chill. But you know, something I've seen time and time again are people just worried that the launch of Grand Theft Auto 6 is going to be botched for some reason. So let's look at a game that had a lot of hype and build up behind it, Cyberpunk 2077. I mean, that thing totally crashed and burned when it came out. So let's look at that and compare it to what Grand Theft Auto 6's launch might look like. I've put out a lot of Grand Theft Auto 6 videos on my channel now, and a comment I see over and over again is people saying, you know, all sad, oh, Grand Theft Auto 6, don't trust anything. It's going to release like Cyberpunk 2077. Or just a general, oh, I sure hope Grand Theft Auto 6 doesn't release like Cyberpunk 2077. And it kind of baffles me because I'm like, why do you think that at all? So today I made a video that will hopefully cheer you guys up a little bit and show you why Grand Theft Auto 6 is going to release in a much better state than Cyberpunk 2077. I mean, with the way everything is set up for Grand Theft Auto 6, it really is positioned to avoid a catastrophic launch with issues, you know, the kind of stuff that plagued Cyberpunk 2077 when it was released back in 2020. I mean, Rockstar is a completely different company than CD Projekt Red. They have fundamental differences in development philosophy, their technical approach, corporate structure, quality assurance processes. They're completely different. So let's start with kind of the obvious thing here. Grand Theft Auto 6 has received adequate development time without rushed deadlines. So according to Take-Two's financial report, development on Grand Theft Auto 6 began in earnest back in 2020, following Red Dead Redemption 2's success. Now, it was in pre-production before this, but actual production was 2020. There was even some work and talks going on for Grand Theft Auto 6, tracing back to 2014. This means by the time the game has come out, it will have approximately 8 years of development time. Take-Two CEO Strauss Zelnick explained the 2026 delay decision. He said, as we get closer to completion of a title that's seeking perfection, the needs, or lack thereof, for continued polish become clear. In this case, there was an opportunity with a small amount of incremental time, we thought, to make sure Rockstar Games achieves its creative vision with no limitations. Industry expert Jason Schreier said this: nobody I've talked to at Rockstar has believed fall 2025 was a real window for a very long time now. Too much work, not enough time, and what appears to be a real desire from management to avoid brutal crunch. So hopefully those quotes kind of help get you in their head a little bit. Because That's different than how Cyberpunk 2077 went down. You see, Cyberpunk 2077, while delayed, it was still rushed. It didn't have long enough in the oven. Cyberpunk had 3 full delays leading up to its release in an effort to elevate the quality of the title. However, these delays were insufficient. The problem with Cyberpunk 2077's delays in late 2020 is that they were actually pretty minor delays, meant to give CD Projekt Red a little extra time to rush the final things that needed doing. CD Projekt Red mandated 6-day work weeks with crunch leading up to launch, breaking earlier promises to avoid mandatory overtime. So yes, you could be like, well, Cyberpunk also had delays, but it seems like they were really struggling. It seems like they needed 3 or 4, maybe even 5 more delays, and it just came down to, you know what, we just got to get this puppy out the door. We'll fix it later. And that's a whole nother topic. We know that design philosophy has plagued the gaming industry for well over a decade now, which sucks to see because back in the day when I was growing up, you bought a game, you put it in, it worked. It didn't connect to the internet. There were no patches, nothing like that. The game you got was the game you got, bugs and all, if there were any bugs. And usually there were only minor ones, if any. But I digress. So let's talk about the elephant in the room here. It's no secret that Grand Theft Auto 6 is going to be brutal on the PlayStation 5. And if you remember what Cyberpunk 2077 was like on the PlayStation 4, maybe you were a little worried that all this stuff that you see in the trailers and all that kind of stuff, it's going to not look anything remotely close to that and look more like mud in a big, buggy, clunky disaster. Don't worry about that though. Grand Theft Auto 6 is built from the ground up for current generation consoles. The game is being developed exclusively for PlayStation 5, PlayStation 5 Pro, and Xbox Series X and S. Cyberpunk 2077 came out in a time where, oh, it's going to come out on the PlayStation 5, but oh, hey, we need to make sure it runs on the PlayStation 4 too. And they never should have released it on the PlayStation 4, ever. And so with Grand Theft Auto 6 having this design philosophy for being totally optimized for these current gen consoles and then worrying about PC maybe a year or 2 down the road, you should feel a little bit more confident that, it's gonna work when you get it. Cyberpunk 2077 kind of set itself up for failure. According to leaks, and take this with a grain of salt, Grand Theft Auto 6 has been and continues to hit 60 frames per second while being optimized for the PS5 Pro on multiple graphics settings. PlayStation engineers are assisting with the optimization due to the new tech being implemented. Now, if you watch my video on AI, this might be something to do with the new Rage 9 engine and how it's going to take advantage of the processing power of current gen consoles. Basically, AI efficiencies in the engine itself to take a lot of the burden off of the processor. Now, whether Grand Theft Auto 6 is going to actually hit 60 FPS, I don't know. It is something that they are going to aspire to do. It is Rockstar. They did have to settle for 30 frames per second with the launch of Red Dead Redemption 2, but I'll talk a little bit more about Red Dead Redemption 2's release in a moment. Cyberpunk 2077 was designed for last generation hardware and poorly optimized. CD Projekt Red admitted in their investor call, quote, "We made it even more difficult for ourselves by first wanting to make the game look epic on PCs and then adjusting it to consoles, especially old gens. So that result was disastrous performance on PlayStation 4 and Xbox One, obviously, with the PlayStation 4 version receiving a Metacritic score of just 50 and Xbox One scoring 51. Forbes warned that playing Cyberpunk on base consoles showed some of the most hilariously bad performance I've ever seen for a AAA game." And yeah, I mean, it was really bad. I remember all the meme videos and everything like that. But there you go right there. I mean, they were designing Cyberpunk 2077 with the PC in mind. Oh, how far can we take it? And then trying to reverse engineer it and figure out, okay, how can we make it work on consoles? While Grand Theft Auto 6 and Rockstar has kind of always done this, and I think they're smart to do this. They create their games with the consoles in mind and then add toys, bells and whistles and graphical settings and stuff like that to the PC version a year later after it has been developed. Cyberpunk's lead engine programmer, Charles Tremblay? How do you say that? Anyways, he later revealed the game suffered from memory leaks. He said, in theory, the game could run infinitely, and at some point, we'd get some fragmentation issues or memory problems. And we now have no more memory to tackle some of the animations or something. And then you have a choice. Either you have to show a T-pose or you hard crash. Oh man, I imagine that's a really tough mindset to be in for a developer. But CD Projekt Red, they got a little too big for their britches. Because if you play Cyberpunk 2077 now, thank God it works. I mean, the redemption arc was crazy. It's a great game. Cyberpunk 2077 in its current state is phenomenal, and I love it. I have no idea while I'm playing it on my current system how in the world they ever thought this thing was going to run on a PlayStation 4. But that might have something to do with their corporate structure and creative independence. You see, Rockstar operates with significant creative autonomy under Take-Two. The corporate structure allows Rockstar Games and its studios a higher degree of autonomy, and each with their own infrastructure and resources, management, and profit and loss strategies. Take-Two's approach emphasizes creativity first, placing placing immense value on artistic freedom and boundary-pushing game concepts, allowing studios like Rockstar Games and 2K significant autonomy and uncompromising quality. Basically, Take-Two knows, look, if we want these guys to make us a lot of money, we gotta let them cook, and that's all there is to it. And man, that's something Electronic Arts could learn from. Or a lot of developers, not even just them. Yes, we get it. You want your money, you want your yacht, you want your new private jet, you want all of this stuff. You want your business to be the best it's ever been, but you've got to allow the time for the creatives and the technical minds behind these massive games to work. And sure, artificial intelligence is playing a role in helping move those things along, but you can't rush it. CD Projekt Red faced intense investor pressure to release Cyberpunk 2077 in December 2020 to capture holiday sales. And we know how that worked out. As one analysis stated, they released the game because their shareholders said, time's up. We've been waiting 8 years and through 3 delays. It's time to cash in, and we want it on shelves for the holiday season. By September of 2020, delays had increased the planned cost by 77%, and the company had spent over $121 million in development. That's another thing. Cyberpunk had a completely different budget than Grand Theft Auto 6. Hell, I've got a video about it. Go check out my video on Grand Theft Auto 6 potentially costing $2 billion or more to create. And now we're over here talking about a $121 million budget. I even referenced this budget in that video. And I can already hear you. You out there and you're saying, well, hey, Andy, why didn't they have someone just sit down and play the game? Or one of these suits sit down and play the game and just see how abysmal it was and be like, hey man, it's not ready to release. Well, let's talk about that. You see, Rockstar has consistently prioritized quality over marketing pressure. The company's delay history, I think, shows this commitment. As IGN documented, Rockstar has a history of delaying games with quality as the stated reason. For Red Dead Redemption 2, the second delay came in February 2018, pushing Red Dead Redemption 2 to late October. The statement from Rockstar explained that, again, this was a quality issue. And guess what? Delays or not, doesn't really matter. The game went on to receive universal critical acclaim. But real quick, another thing I've noticed about Rockstar, because I see a lot of you people making jokes and saying stuff in the comments, being like, oh, well, hey, I can't wait for them to delay it again. Well, Rockstar, I've only really noticed that they delay release windows. Now, it could have happened, but as of now, I don't remember a time where Rockstar has ever said, we're coming out on this specific date and then pushed it back. I've seen, hey, here's our new release window. We're going to be coming out around then. Oh, wait, didn't work out. We're going to go on ahead and delay our release window back, but not a concrete date. But anyways, like I said, we're talking about quality assurance. CD Projekt Red deliberately misled consumers about console performance. The BBC reported that CD Projekt Red was accused of deliberately attempting to misrepresent its product by only allowing reviewers to play the PC version before launch. That's pretty dirty. They knew that if they were sitting on a steaming pile of crap on the consoles. The company did later apologize and said, we should have paid more attention to making it play better on PlayStation 4 and Xbox One. But I mean, they already knew that. The damage is done. Crocodile tears at this point. And again, we're in 2025 at this point. They have done their redemption arc. I'm not beating up on them. I love Cyberpunk 2077 as it currently is. But they messed up, and we all know that. But 2 weeks before launch, CD Projekt joint CEO Adam Kaczynski, oh my lord, these names, Adam, told investors that the base PS4 and Xbox One performance was surprisingly good. I would say for such a huge world, it's pretty good, bro. This obviously proved to be false, and the game was removed from the PlayStation Store entirely. Can you imagine a world where Rockstar releases Grand Theft Auto and the quality is just so terrible that they have to pull it from like the PlayStation Store? I can't imagine that world. Then again, I've played every single Grand Theft Auto since Grand Theft Auto 1, and they have never, ever messed up like that. You see, Rockstar, they got a proven track record, baby, of successful, amazing launches. I've been to their midnight releases. Everyone's hyped. They get their hands on the game, they go home, they play it, and you know what? That hype only increases. It's an event when a Rockstar game comes out. And man, I miss midnight releases. Now that everything's moving digital, less of that, whatever. Rockstar's recent major releases launched in excellent condition. Grand Theft Auto 5 received a Metacritic score of 97 for PlayStation 3 and Xbox 360 versions at launch. And I remember the 360 version. It had multiple discs, and I was like, what is this crap? Multiple discs. Oh no, I put it in. It played great. It ran. And you see, this is something that I've seen time and time again. I see the trailer for a Rockstar game, and I'm like, there's no way that this could run on current gen hardware. And the first time I thought that was Grand Theft Auto 4. Well, guess what? It ran. And it looked great. Then I thought that again for Red Dead Redemption. Guess what? It ran freaking amazing. Still looks beautiful to this day. Well, specifically the Xbox 360 version, not the PS3 version. That's a whole nother story. Then Grand Theft Auto 5, I thought the same thing, and they pulled it off. Red Dead Redemption 2, I for sure was certain that there was just no way that what we saw in the trailers was going to run on a PlayStation 4. And guess what? it did. Remember guys, Red Dead Redemption 2 ran on a freaking PS4 and it looked amazing. And it had its elaborate, intricate world, everything, and it ran great. You could play the game, didn't break. Cyberpunk 2077 was a broken piece of crap on the PlayStation 4. And that's why they get these scores. Like Red Dead Redemption 2 scored a 97 on Metacritic for both PlayStation 4 and Xbox One, with IGN calling it at the time a meticulously crafted game that feels alive. The Independent wrote, Rockstar's latest title is alive like no other game before it. It remembers your actions have consequences. Cyberpunk 2077's console versions were among the worst rated games of 2020. While the PC version scored 86 on Metacritic at launch, the console versions were catastrophic. As Forbes reported, Cyberpunk 2077 on console has one of the lowest Metacritic scores this year, with PS4 at 50 and Xbox One at 51. The game required 2 years and multiple major patches to achieve redemption, a redemption that we now know as Phantom Liberty. I almost said Phantom Pain. I love the Phantom Pain. If you haven't played Metal Gear, go play Metal Gear. It's an incredible video game series. Crazy too. But let's talk about crunch culture. So, Rockstar management is actively avoiding brutal crunch for Grand Theft Auto 6. Jason Schreier reported that there is what appears to be a real desire for management to avoid brutal crunch with Grand Theft Auto 6. They got in a little bit of trouble for that with Red Dead Redemption 2, with developers losing their minds, and, it was basically the Russian sleep experiment going on down there, but whatever. They got the game out the door, boxed it, shipped it, and it ran great. It was amazing. So, it sounds like they're trying not to abuse their devs as much, which is good. We should not abuse game devs. We should take good care of them and cherish them because they create works of art that we all love and enjoy. And, the 2026 delay kind of reflects this new approach to getting rid of crunch culture. You've seen the art that they've put out. I think that is despite the crunch culture. Okay. I don't think crunch culture makes a better game. That just gets it polished in a timely fashion to get it out the door. Imagine if they had more time to breathe. Think about it. You are a more creative person if you don't have a gun to your head. You just are. If you're not stressed out, you're naturally going to think of things differently and be more creative. So I think removing crunch culture entirely, now there might still be some for Grand Theft Auto 6 to some extent, but minimizing it as much as possible, I think is going to result in an even stronger game than you would have if you had crunch culture. Thank you. Moving on. Cyberpunk 2077 suffered from severe crunch culture. Bloomberg reported that CD Projekt Red mandated 6-day work weeks will be mandatory, leading up to the November release of the highly anticipated Cyberpunk 2077, which sucks. Also, when they did this, they went back on their earlier promises to not force overtime on the project. And you kind of know your project is FUBAR at that point, because if you make a promise confidently like, hey, we will not make you guys work overtime, don't worry about that. That's not us. This game, it's going to be amazing, and we're not going to do that to you. But then, things start falling apart. And never mind, we need you guys in the office 24/7. That's not a good sign for your game. That kind of shows your game's going to potentially suck. And I mean, guys, it gets pretty crazy. Reports indicated developers were working up to 100 hours a week to finish this game. 100+ hour weeks even for several months. And guys, that sucks. And yeah, while I might work 100 hours a week, I'm not even kidding. That is my choice. I choose to do YouTube on top of working a full-time job and on top of doing a side job. I'm nuts, okay? And it's going to lead to burnout eventually if I don't find a way to manage this properly. But my core job, the job I do for a living, the job that puts bread on the table, has never made me work a 100-hour plus work week. You can't expect that of your employees, man. That's terrible. You can work as much as you want, but I mean, anything over 40 hours, you're asking a lot. I mean, unless you're like emergency responders or stuff like that, then that's your duty. But man, for a video game, they should have figured something else out. That's terrible, man. But let's put a pretty bow on this. The evidence overwhelmingly suggests that Grand Theft Auto 6 will launch in a far superior state than Cyberpunk 2077. Rockstar has provided adequate development time without artificial deadline pressure, built the game exclusively for current generation hardware, maintained creative independence from corporate interference, prioritized transparency and quality assurance, has demonstrated a proven track record of polished launches, and actively worked to avoid developer crunch. Okay? I feel like Rockstar could drop the mic after that. Cyberpunk 2077, on the other hand, suffered from rush development, last-generation console optimization failures, investor pressure for premature release, deceptive marketing practices, and severe crunch culture. So, there you have it. Everything that made Cyberpunk 2077 go wrong, those are all factors Rockstar is systematically avoiding with Grand Theft Auto 6. So I hope that cheered you up a bit if you were worried about Grand Theft Auto 6 coming out in a state like Cyberpunk 2077. It's just not going to happen. All right, so I hope that video right there got your hopes up a little bit for the launch of Grand Theft Auto 6. I think we're going to be okay, guys. But you know, we've talked about all aspects of the game except for really the story. I mean, we have a little bit, but not too much. Let's talk about something we pretty much already know is confirmed, the ending of the game, which sounds ridiculous, but just watch this video and you'll see what I mean. So we pretty much already know the ending of Grand Theft Auto 6, and it doesn't take a rocket scientist to figure it out. I mean, just go back one game to the end of Grand Theft Auto 5, and you've got that decision where you really got to choose between Trevor or Michael.
You want a piece of me? You want to kill me?
You go back once more to Grand Theft Auto 4, and Niko is left with the choice basically between his cousin Roman's life or his girlfriend Kate. Not that he really knew it, but there's that bitter sting at the end, no matter who you choose, really. Hopefully in your playthrough, Roman survived. But then you can look over at Red Dead Redemption. The end of Red Dead Redemption 1, John, after going around trying to track down his old friends, the members of his gang, brothers, really his family, in a sense he's betraying them, even though John says he left the gang after the gang left him, but whatever. He has to track them down and get rid of them. And then what happens at the very end of Red Dead Redemption? Well, the government comes in and betrays John. And then you look at Red Dead Redemption 2, and it's a little bit more complex in that game, but the gang crumbles and falls apart, and really it's Micah who betrayed the whole gang and Arthur.
You're not better than me, Morgan. Whatever you say, you fool.
But you even look back into the 3D era of Grand Theft Auto, and there were still those themes of betrayal. As far back as Grand Theft Auto 3, the game starts out with Claude being betrayed by his girlfriend, Catalina. In Vice City, Tommy is betrayed by Sonny. In San Andreas, CJ is betrayed by Big Smoke, but more painfully, by Ryder. So you get it. Grand Theft Auto, or really just Rockstar in general, is no stranger to betrayal in games. Even in Bully, the main antagonist betrays Jimmy Hopkins.
I know you hate me, Jimmy boy. I know you said all that stuff about me behind my back.
What are you talking about?
Don't play innocent with me.
Betrayal is something we see time and time again in Rockstar games. So when you see these two trailers, these beautiful trailers of Jason and Lucia running around Vice City doing all this crazy stuff together, looking each other in the eyes, dancing around, having a great time together, it's kind of already painful because it looks like they're gonna break our hearts. We know we're gonna fall in love with these characters. We know that we're going to root for them, but we know that ultimately the curtains are gonna have to come down at the end and one of them's gonna have to go, or maybe even both of them. So I'm really curious how they're gonna do this, and I'm making this video to kind of open up a discussion because after reading all of your comments and trying to respond to as many of them as possible, I do make it my goal to respond to every single comment, by the way. I started thinking about how this is going to shake out and how Rockstar could maybe sidestep some of the expectations that I already have in place for the game. For example, the most obvious idea would be, you know, you have to shoot Lucy at the end of Grand Theft Auto 6. Maybe she betrays you or something like that, or maybe as Lucia, you have to shoot Jason. One comment I read shared something pretty interesting. The idea that Jason is an undercover cop. And then I thought, well, based off the trailers, it looks like you start off day in the life with Jason and you go and pick up Lucia from prison. What if during that time, while she's away, Jason becomes an undercover cop or something along those lines? Maybe he flipped. Maybe he becomes a confidential informant. Maybe his relationship with Lucia is very much like Michael and Trevor's, just not as extreme. And of course, somehow narratively, it could be flipped the other way, but then you would be dealing with something pretty dang interesting. You'd have Jason basically the whole time keeping Lucy in the dark while he's working on cracking down whatever criminal empire he's working on, and they do a bunch of robberies and stuff together, and I don't know, I think that would make for a very interesting, weird story, but at the same time, I'm not sure that that's quite how it's gonna go. But what if this game has a rare ending for Rockstar, a happy ending, where both of them end up together and live happily ever after? I don't really see that happening. But there's also another idea that would sting, you know, less than betrayal, but would still break our hearts. What if they go out together? Well, how do you play the game after they're gone? Did they have a son or a daughter we don't know about, and we're gonna be running around as basically Jack Marston at the end of the game? No, I think one of them is going to have to live and one of them is going to have to die. The question is, how? We know that the police are going to have some sort of presence in the story of this game, just based off of what we've seen in the trailers. They're in the cutscenes. We see police raids, so it's not like our leads are just talking to police in a headquarters or something. So because we're seeing the police through these perspectives in this cutscene format, we know that it could be a couple of things. Either there's a third protagonist we don't know about who is possibly an undercover cop or something like that, or maybe this is going to be kind of weird and take us away from the main cast and have cutscenes independent of them. I really hope that's not the case. I think that would break the immersion a lot. In Rockstar games, you typically are always focused around the characters that you're playing and seeing the world through their perspective, getting the information as they get it. It would kind of cheapen the game or ruin it, I think, a little bit to know something that maybe Lucy or Jason doesn't know because we're going to be in their shoes. What if both of them, Lucia and Jason, work together as undercover police officers or something like that? I think it is an interesting thing to think about. Are Lucia Lucia and Jason gonna drive off a cliff together at the very end? Go out in a blaze of glory? Are they gonna be able to make it out together? Well, we know with like 99% accuracy that there's probably going to be multiple endings. So I could see one where they both go out together in a hail of bullets or choosing to take their own lives rather than deal with the cops. I could also see another ending to where one has to betray the other, and then maybe there's a happy ending where they can get away and live happily ever after. And in thinking about all of this, I remembered something about the first Red Dead Redemption. I remember the first time I beat the game, and John walks out of the barn, and I tried to take as many of the soldiers down as possible. And I thought I was doing something wrong. I thought if I kept playing it over and over and over again, John Marston could eventually survive the encounter and live happily ever after. Unfortunately, we know that's not the case. No matter what you do, he's gone. And I remember that stung and hurt so bad. Because this whole game, I was rooting for this guy. I wanted him to succeed, to get his family back. And for a little bit, you do, and you get to know them. And, you know, you might even think that you've beaten the game because you're like, well, I did everything I'm supposed to do. Some people have said they even thought that and didn't even know how the game ended back in 2010. I remember that. But unfortunately, you play through the story missions and it doesn't take long for it to go the way it does. So all that to say, it broke my freaking heart. And I was so upset that John had to go at the end of Red Dead Redemption 1. And the first thing I did as Jack was go to Blackwater and unalive every single person there before discovering that I could then track down Edgar Ross. And the ending there even sucks because yeah, it's sweet, sweet revenge, but Jack became the very thing that John was trying to prevent him from becoming. And that ending stings even more after you play Red Dead Redemption 2 and go back and play the first one. Red Dead Redemption 2 is incredible. It just makes the first one even better. But what I'm trying to say here is I hated the ending of Red Dead Redemption 1, but it's also one of my favorite endings of all time. And that is the ultimate way to subvert viewers' expectations or a player's expectations. Oh, we hear that all the time. We're going to subvert your expectations, you know, stuff like that. And then you get like, what, Game of Thrones Season 8, and it's terrible. And most of the time when you hear people say stuff like that, it's awful. But in the case of Red Dead Redemption, it worked because sometimes the pain you feel at the very end of a game, the pain you feel from a loss leaves you remembering the times when they were alive. Very much like if you lose someone you love in real life. I mean, when you lose someone, there's nothing else you can do with them. All you have left after that are the memories that you made together. And I think they doubled down on that in Red Dead Redemption 2, because when you play Red Dead Redemption 2, you already know Arthur's not in the first one. You know he's not going to make it. Like, come on. You know that the game can realistically only end one way, if you've played the first one, that is. So the whole game, I knew Arthur was eventually going to be gone. But the game still managed to break my freaking heart because I loved Arthur. He is one of the greatest video game protagonists of all time, if not the greatest video game protagonist of all time. But how was that pain earned? Well, in Red Dead Redemption 2, they earn that pain through the small moments, like fishing with Dutch, or, you know, teaching Jack how to fish, or get fishing out of the equation, just hanging out with your gang, taking Lenny out to drink. Lenny has to go too, unfortunately. But all of those losses in that game hurt because you get to know these characters and do the most mundane stuff with them, and also go through life or death situations with them. So when you lose those characters, and eventually when you lose Arthur, oh my gosh, it hurts. So I'm really hoping that they can do something like that with Grand Theft Auto 6. Just from the trailers alone, it looks like Lucia and Jason are going to have a really good time together and go through all sorts of stuff together. I'm curious how they're going to do it. Is this going to be some weird, twisted, toxic relationship, or are they going to be strong and true to each other in their bond? You know, there's that one part of the trailer where Lucia looks in Jason's eyes and says, "Trust," and he looks back at her and he repeats it. But he does repeat it after a little bit of a delay. And that has me thinking there might be some sort of rift going on, something going on in the back of his mind maybe this entire time. Something he knows that maybe she doesn't. And I think that plays into the whole undercover cop idea. But maybe not. That could also be wild speculation, much like them going to space, but that's another video entirely. But anyways, I'm really curious to see how these two characters are together. Are they going to grow together? Or are they going to be stagnant, kind of like the characters from Grand Theft Auto 5? And look, if you're a Grand Theft Auto 5 fan, that was just a fun, cheap shot. I don't really think that. Yes, there's a hero's journey in all of the games, including Grand Theft Auto 5. But I think I've gotten the discussion going. So I'm really curious to know what you think. How's this game going to end? And you might be saying, dude, why are you making this video? The game is not even out. We don't know if it's going to get delayed again. Look, people have dissected every bit of information they can from the Grand Theft Auto 6 trailers, and this is going to be the biggest video game of all time, the biggest media release of all time, with like a $2 billion budget to make it. I mean, come on. Don't you at least want to speculate a little bit about how the greatest, biggest video game media thing of all time is going to end? I'm curious, because a lot is riding on this game's story. Too much, in fact. And I really hope the story doesn't crumple under the weight of that pressure, the financial obligations that Rockstar may face with such a massive budget to create it, especially after knowing some of the main creatives left before the game even began proper production. So I just think it's something interesting to think about, and I'm sure you have your own thoughts and opinions on maybe how the game's going to end, or maybe you're busy thinking about other things like how you're going to trick out your car, multiple cities, cool stuff like that. But I'm a nerd. I like stories. I love movies. So I'm really curious how this game's going to end. Wow. If you have made it this far, props to you. We got 2 videos left. And I think that they are the 2 perfect videos to end this absolute mega super edition. You know what I'm trying to say here. But this next video is about Grand Theft Auto 6's $2 billion budget and where it's going. So check it out. So Grand Theft Auto 6 apparently is going to cost $2 billion, which is just absolutely absurd to think about. $2 billion? Are you kidding me? Think about it. You could build the world's tallest skyscraper, launch 10 space missions, or fund 5 Hollywood blockbusters, and you'd still have change left over from Grand Theft Auto 6's astronomical development budget. $2 billion. I can't comprehend that number, unless you can help get this video to 2 billion views. But when you reach numbers like $2 billion, we're not talking video games anymore. This is the most expensive piece of entertainment ever created, and every single dollar is about to revolutionize the industry forever. And if you watch my video about Grand Theft Auto 6 being the last Rockstar game as we know it, you know what I mean by that. So the gaming world has never witnessed anything like Grand Theft Auto 6's production scale. While the exact figures remain unconfirmed by Rockstar, industry insiders consistently point to development costs between $1 to $2 billion. And let's face it, us YouTubers, we like to favor the 2 billion figure because it's bigger, louder, bolder, you know, but whatever. 1 to 2 billion is still ridiculous because that makes it approximately 4 times more expensive than its predecessor Grand Theft Auto 5, which cost only $265 million in 2013. I say only. I can't even comprehend $265 million either. I'm sure you guys can't either. These are big boy numbers here, grown-up numbers. This is beyond us. But to put this into perspective, Grand Theft Auto 6's budget exceeds the construction cost of Dubai's Burj Khalifa, which was $1.5 billion. So if that $2 billion figure is true, it dwarfs it. And it definitely dwarfs most Hollywood productions. But there's an army behind this budget. The most significant portion of Grand Theft Auto 6's budget, unsurprisingly, flows directly into human capital. Rockstar Games has operated across all 10 of its global studios for this project. Rockstar India, for example, leads with 1,615 developers. Then there's Rockstar North with 1,285. Then there's Rockstar Lincoln, which I'd never heard of before making this video, which is 910 developers. Let me know down in the comments if you've heard of Rockstar Lincoln. Industry estimates suggest the total development team reaches approximately 3,000 to 6,000 people, compared to Red Dead Redemption 2's already massive team of around 1,600. That is 1,600 abused, overworked people, but that's another video and I'm sure that's been covered extensively. So, with average game developer salaries ranging in the ballpark from $100,000 to $120,000 annually in the United States at least, and considering the project's 8 to 10 year development timeline, personnel costs alone could account for $800 million to $1.2 billion of the total budget. This includes not just programmers, but specialized roles like the 500 animators similar to Red Dead Redemption 2's team structure, with 80 to 85 gameplay animators, 80 cinematic specialists, and over 100 facial animation experts. Now, not everyone's getting paid $100,000 to $120,000 annually, and that's probably a pretty liberal estimate. I mean, the guy who voiced Niko Bellic only got paid, I think it was $100,000. So we know that Rockstar can be kind of chintzy, and I seriously doubt everyone working at Rockstar India is making $100,000. But Grand Theft Auto 6 represents a massive leap in gaming technology. I mean, it's powered by Rage 9, the latest iteration of Rockstar's proprietary engine. This technological advancement alone requires a massive investment across multiple fronts. Honestly, this is probably where the majority of the money's going. I don't think the majority is going to those salaries. I mean, a lot is, but this stuff's crazy. And if you watch my video on what the AI in Grand Theft Auto 6 is going to be like, you'll know what I'm talking about. Because this game incorporates revolutionary artificial intelligence throughout every aspect of gameplay. According to a former Rockstar developer, AI is everywhere in this game, from lifelike conversations with NPCs to sophisticated NPC behavior. These AI systems required collaboration with specialists, high processing power, and custom-built training datasets, with millions invested in proprietary AI tools. So like advanced physics and a new way of rendering things and taking a lot of work off of the CPU. Rage 9 is introducing physically simulated water in real time, for example. I mean, that's absolutely unheard of. A technology like this has never existed, not for games anyway. It has for film, but nothing like this has ever existed operating in real time. The engine also features procedural object generation, meaning the game can create objects differently each time, which is going to add so much variety and realism to the world around you. And then let's talk about motion capture and performance technology, which is another money sink. The game utilizes cutting-edge motion capture studios, high-end recording facilities for voice work, and sophisticated development tools, many of which Rockstar created in-house. The technical infrastructure, though, required to support this production pipeline is incredibly complex and expensive to maintain. Now let's talk about marketing, which is kind of funny because you think Grand Theft Auto 6 doesn't really need much marketing. All it has to do is exist. But a lot of money gets put into marketing, believe it or not. You got to know that it exists, right? So while Grand Theft Auto 6's development costs are staggering, marketing represents another massive expense category. Take-Two Interactive has allocated $74.5 million for advertising in fiscal year 2026. But this likely represents represents only a fraction of the total marketing spend. For comparison, Grand Theft Auto 5 had a marketing budget of approximately $150 million in 2013, which would be significantly higher in today's dollars. Industry analysts predict Grand Theft Auto 6's marketing campaign could exceed $500 million when considering global reach requirements. The game needs to penetrate every corner of the world market, as even the massive US market alone ain't gonna recoup that $2 billion investment. And other than those cinematic trailers, this could include things like influencer campaigns, paid advertisements across all platforms, and, well, global launch events. But here's something you probably don't think about: security. Speaking of cybersecurity, there's an affiliate link to NordVPN down below in the description box. Yada yada, you've heard the freaking sales pitches. I'm not going to do that to you. But if you were going to get it, there is a link down in the description box, and yes, it would help me out. Anyways, back to the video. So in 2022, all of that Grand Theft Auto 6 footage got leaked, and it cost Rockstar Games roughly $5 million to recover from, plus thousands of staff hours. This incident has likely driven additional security investments throughout the development process, mainly through comprehensive network security upgrades. But beyond security, the game requires massive cloud computing and server infrastructure to support its online components. So they're getting ready for the biggest online release of all time. I mean, this isn't really a AAA game, this is a quadruple A game. And with a game of this scale, you're talking at least $100,000 to $250,000 monthly for server hosting, with years of development and testing to make sure that this thing is going to run. These costs compound significantly. So to really understand the magnitude of Grand Theft Auto 6's $2 billion budget, let's compare it to a few other games. Red Dead Redemption 2, like we said before, $540 million. And that's including marketing. Then there's Cyberpunk 2077. That had a $316 million budget, $174 million during development, and $142 million with marketing. And you saw how that game got launched. But that's another story and another video. I think I just gave myself another video idea. Then there's Call of Duty. Just pick one of the recent titles, $300 million. Hollywood blockbusters, well, Avengers Age of Ultron cost $495 million. Avengers Endgame was $400 million. Pirates of the Caribbean on Stranger Tides was $379 million. So Grand Theft Auto 6's estimated $2 billion budget represents a 400% increase over Grand Theft Auto 5's inflation-adjusted cost. So we're talking a complete transformation in entertainment production scale. But despite the astronomical costs, industry analysts remain confident about Grand Theft Auto 6's profitability. The game is projected to generate $3.2 to $3.5 billion in revenue within its first year, with some predictions reaching $10 billion lifetime revenue and an additional $500 million annually from Grand Theft Auto Online. And Grand Theft Auto 5 kind of inspires the confidence for this. Grand Theft Auto 5 in 2013 earned $1 billion in just 3 days and has generated over $7.7 billion since. So with Grand Theft Auto 6's significantly larger scope and modern monetization strategies, revenue potential justifies a $2 billion investment. So modern AAA games that shot for a 2024 to 2025 launch window typically cost about $200 million. Grand Theft Auto 6 pushes the ceiling just to ridiculous levels. This creates a new tier. Like I said earlier, not AAA, this is a quadruple A game. Rockstar has not only created some beast of a game that's going to blow everything else out of the water, they've created an entirely new type of game, an entirely new type of media and way that we engage with it. But we're still at the interesting part, because the project's success or failure will determine whether other studios follow this ultra-high budget model or seek alternative approaches. One industry analyst noted, "You just cannot justify the financial risk unless you're a company with the resources and global reach of Rockstar." So Grand Theft Auto 6 represents more than just a video game. It's a glimpse into the future of the entertainment industry and how freaking scary it is, and where the line between movies and games and interactive experiences and stuff like the metaverse, I mean, it's all just about to blur together into one soup. And we've done it. We've looked at the $2 billion budget for Grand Theft Auto 6, and it is absolutely bonkers. But you know what? We're coming up on the end of this massive, super long video, so let's go out with a bang here. Let's talk about how Grand Theft Auto 6 is going to be the last game from Rockstar. And I know that sounds depressing. You'll see what I mean. It's a little bit more complicated than that. Check out this video. Will Grand Theft Auto 6 be the last Rockstar game, or the last Rockstar game as we know it? Grand Theft Auto 6 may indeed represent the final chapter of Rockstar Games as the industry comes to understand it. Multiple converging factors suggest that Grand Theft Auto 6's launch, the studio's approach to game development, release schedules, and business model will fundamentally transform in ways that could make traditional single-player story-driven blockbusters a relic of the past. And yes, that sucks, but that also opens up a brave new world in the future. But one of the most significant indicators that Grand Theft Auto 6 kind of marks the end of an era is the dramatic departure of key creative figures who shaped Rockstar's identity. I mean, Dan Houser, co-founder and lead writer behind Grand Theft Auto and Red Dead Redemption, left the company in March of 2020. At the time of recording, that's 5 years ago. His departure followed an extended sabbatical that began in spring of 2019, suggesting there was possibly creative differences, or he was just burnt out from the increased demands of the development cycles, and perhaps he was just ready to do something else. Then there's Leslie Benzies, former president of Rockstar North and producer on every 3D Grand Theft Auto game game since Grand Theft Auto 3. And Leslie was effectively fired in 2016 after attempting to return from a sabbatical. Now, Leslie did later sue for $150 million in unpaid royalties, claiming he was deliberately frozen out through lengthy deception. His fingerprints were on virtually every major Rockstar project, including Red Dead Redemption, LA Noire, and Max Payne 3. These weren't ordinary personnel changes. I mean, we're talking the creative architects of these games who defined Rockstar's storytelling approach, gameplay philosophy, and cultural voice. And now it's just Sam Houser remaining as the sole original founder in the executive role. The creative DNA that produced the satirical, narrative-driven experiences fans expect has been fundamentally altered, and there's no denying that. And Grand Theft Auto 6's development represents a budget escalation that may have broken the traditional game development model entirely. Industry analysts estimate the total budget to be between $1 and $2 billion, making it potentially the most expensive entertainment product ever created. For context, this dwarfs Red Dead Redemption 2's $540 million budget and makes Grand Theft Auto 5's $265 million budget seem modest in comparison. Wrap your head around that. If the figure really is $2 billion, that's almost 4 Red Dead Redemption 2s. The game has been in development for roughly 8 years, with work beginning in 2018 after Red Dead Redemption 2's completion. Former Rockstar environment artist David O'Reilly confirmed he worked on Grand Theft Auto 6 from 2018 to 2023, representing the longest development cycle in Rockstar's history. This timeline suggests future projects of similar scope would require decade-plus development periods, which means traditional sequels are just financially unstable. And the most telling sign of Rockstar's future direction lies in Grand Theft Auto Online's unprecedented success. Grand Theft Auto 5 has generated over $1.4 billion in digital revenue, with 78% coming from microtransactions through shark cards. This represents nearly $1.1 billion in post-launch monetization, demonstrating that live service models can generate more revenue than initial game sales. Rockstar's recent Grand Theft Auto Online updates, including the Money Fronts expansion, focus entirely on passive income generation and money laundering businesses. These updates prioritize ongoing player engagement over narrative content, kind of hints at the company's strategic pivot towards games as a service.
It will be bad for business.
Well, what are we gonna do, Sonny?
The games as a service model market is projected to reach $159.24 billion by 2032, up from $9.32 billion in 2025. This growth trajectory makes traditional single-purchase games increasingly obsolete from a business perspective, particularly for publishers like Take-Two Interactive that prioritize shareholder returns. And you can bet after they invest $2 billion into a game, they're gonna want to see those returns. But now, artificial intelligence has entered the chat. So artificial intelligence, I mean, when I was a kid, when you said AI, you were just talking about how the AI in games work, but it's taken a whole new meaning. Artificial intelligence is fundamentally reshaping game development in ways that could eliminate the need for massive human development teams. AI-driven procedural generation now enables dynamic world creation, intelligent NPC behavior like we're going to see in Grand Theft Auto 6, and personalized gameplay experiences. That last one is big, personalized gameplay experiences, and you'll see what I mean in a minute. These technologies can potentially replace the army of artists, level designers, and content creators that traditionally drove up development costs. Advanced AI systems can now generate realistic character animations, dialogue, and even entire game environments. This means future Rockstar titles could be created with significantly smaller teams, focusing on AI oversight rather than manual content creation. This would also help them get around stuff like crunching, which they got in trouble for with Red Dead Redemption 2. And the implications of this are insane. We're talking fewer jobs, but shorter development cycles, and potentially infinite content generation. And not to get philosophical on you, but if you can have infinite content generation, doesn't that content kind of lose its value? Then there's machine learning algorithms already being used in games like MotoGP and Rocket League to create adaptive AI that learns from player behavior. This technology could eventually create NPCs and gameplay scenarios that feel unique to each player, reducing the need for carefully crafted universal narrative experiences.
It's been too long. You should have come out earlier. Think of all the girls you've been missing out on.
Our country has women too.
And AI is also being used to get around a lot of the thinking or number crunching that processors used to do. It's taking a lot of the burden off the processor. In a way, in that alone, AI is removing a massive barrier for games, and it's going to open up a whole new world of possibilities. But at what cost? And let's talk about the consolidation crisis going on right now. The broader gaming industry is experiencing unprecedented consolidation and studio closures that suggest traditional development models are failing. failing. Over 25,000 gaming jobs were lost in 2023 and 2024 alone, with major studios like Arcane Austin, Tango Gameworks, and Volition shutting down entirely. Even successful games no longer guarantee studio survival, as companies prioritize live service revenues over creative achievement. Microsoft's closure of Arcane Austin and Tango Gameworks, despite their games being well received, demonstrates that critical acclaim and sales success no longer ensure job security. This industry-wide consolidation suggests that only the largest, most profitable franchises like Grand Theft Auto will survive the transition to new business models. And despite Grand Theft Auto 6's delay to May 2026, Take-Two CEO Strauss Zelnick has confirmed that Rockstar is working on a lot of other things beyond Grand Theft Auto 6. However, these projects likely represent a fundamentally different approach to game development. The Max Payne remake, being developed in collaboration with Remedy Entertainment, suggests Rockstar may focus on remasters and collaborations rather than original AAA development. Red Dead Redemption 3 remains in conceptual planning phases only, with anonymous sources suggesting it won't enter active development until after Grand Theft Auto 6's launch and post-release support. And given that timeline, this could mean a 2035 or later release window. So let's talk about the future of Rockstar games here. Several factors suggest Grand Theft Auto 6 represents the end of Rockstar as fans know it, as they shift to platform as a service. Grand Theft Auto 6 will likely function more as a persistent online platform than a traditional game. It's going to be an MMO with continuous updates, live events, and evolving content that never truly ends. And like I speculated in one of my previous videos, we're going to eventually be able to go back and forth between Liberty City, Los Santos, and maybe even have stuff like Las Venturas and San Fierro added to it. I don't see the next iteration of Grand Theft Auto Online closing down anytime soon. I mean, if you look at the previous Grand Theft Auto Online, the one that's still currently running, that started as kind of a wacky experiment. And think about how long that went. It's a Frankenstein's monster held together with duct tape and bubblegum, and things didn't flow quite right. Well, they've had all this time to learn from their mistakes, and now they're developing something truly new. And with the budget behind it, you can guarantee they're going to want to future-proof this product. And with AI-generated content, future content updates may rely heavily on procedural generation and AI-created missions, reducing the need for human storytelling and design expertise. And then there's subscription models. The gaming industry is rapidly moving towards subscription-based access. And you know that Rockstar and Take-Two, they're open to all this kind of stuff, with talk of the game even being $100. So rather than individual purchases, you're looking at seeing games move more towards stuff like Xbox Game Pass and PlayStation Now. But there's also reduced development times, with AI automation dramatically reducing team sizes needed for future projects and fundamentally changing Rockstar's structure and creative process. So, based on everything going on, here's what Rockstar's future likely looks like. Grand Theft Auto 6 Online will become Rockstar's primary focus over at least the next decade, with continuous content updates and expansions. I mean, their team is big enough to be cooking a single, but I think that's going to be their primary focus. Grand Theft Auto 6's single-player campaign might be the last narrative-driven experience Rockstar creates at this scale. Red Dead Redemption 3 may never really materialize in its traditional form. Instead, expect something like Red Dead Online expansions, or AI-generated content that extends the existing world without requiring massive development investment. And they've already kind of laid the groundwork for this. In Red Dead Redemption 2, they already have New Austin and bits of Mexico. I think eventually, with the assistance of AI in development, we're going to see a full seamless transition from Red Dead Redemption 2's plot into John Marston's shoes, into Red Dead Redemption 1 in the same game world and the same engine, and maybe into a sequel to that. Maybe the World War I Jack story that everybody and nobody wants at the same time, all happening within Red Dead Redemption 2. So new IP development will likely cease as Rockstar focuses resources on maintaining and expanding their proven franchises through live service models. What was that game back in the day? You remember it was Spy or something like that? I mean, they didn't even do that. I think they've been kind of planning this stuff for a long time, guys. I mean, they're the industry leaders. They're going to be on top of this stuff well before we even have an idea of what's happening. So the next Rockstar game after Grand Theft Auto 6 might be unrecognizable to all of us. Think of it. It's going to be an AI-assisted, procedurally generated experience that adapts to individual players rather than telling a universal story. And earlier, when I was talking about adapting to individual players, we've already seen concepts of AI games to where a player is dropped in and the world is just kind of built around them and shapes around them. Grand Theft Auto 6 represents not just the culmination of Rockstar's traditional approach, but potentially its swan song. So with economic pressures, industry consolidation, and leadership changes, when you mix all that together, it suggests that the Rockstar games that created Vice City, San Andreas, and Red Dead Redemption may not survive the transition to whatever comes next. And that's just how it works in life, right? Things are born, things live, and things die. And in that sense, Grand Theft Auto 6 truly could be the last Rockstar game as we know it. Oh my goodness, if you have made it this far, super mad props to you. Or maybe you're asleep, and in that case, good night. But anyways, if you are still awake and watching for whatever reason, I hope you enjoyed all of this. please like and subscribe. I'm not done covering Grand Theft Auto 6. I'm going to keep covering it as new stuff comes out. I'm going to cover it when the actual game itself comes out. So this is just the beginning. So please like this video and subscribe to the channel, and I'll keep you connected with as much Grand Theft Auto 6 info as I possibly can. Anyways, my name's Dandy Andy. Thank you so much for making it all the way through this. I would normally say here's 2 videos to check out, but I'm just going to put something random here. You've done your due diligence. Go get some rest if you haven't already, or go outside or something. I don't know. Take a break. It's been 3 hours. Anyways, have a great rest of your day, night, week, year, whatever. Just stay safe out there. Peace.